Welcome to the Four Popes Massacre. Hey, everybody! Welcome to the Four Post Massacre podcast, episode 2, with the Big Bad Boo Bear, with Mr. Mellow Mike or Mellow Mike today, as we should be calling him, and Big J.
Black Olives Matter.
Black Olives Matters. You can hear in the background my kid get ready for bed. So, good night, honey bun. Anyway, so we're here. We're fixing to get started. We are going to do our usual 2-song break. We got a lot of extra guests, hopefully, fingers crossed, coming in tonight to hang out with us as we have the big interview with Dave Bradshaw coming up. Also, another announcement of another interview. I've announced on Facebook and Twitter, but I will be announcing after the song break. We have an interview coming up next week with another high-profile wrestling figure out there in the social wrestling universe. So you guys keep it locked in here to get all that info. We got so much stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about TNA and the booming quality but failing backstage processes that are going on there. We got some ROH news. Of course, we're going to talk about WWE and Brock Lesnar's terrible response. But first up, we got 2-song break. We've got some Bleeding in Stereo coming up first with Distance. And then, let's see, what am I feeling? What am I feeling after that? I'm thinking some, I don't know. I'm kind of not. I don't know. Mississippi Bones. We got some Mississippi Bones coming up after Bleeding in Stereo. So we will be back right after this.
Touches my skin, I can see your face in the stars. The only form of communication that I have with you for now. You don't feel like I gave up on you. Hope you don't feel like I starts with a question. You and your dream of electric sheep. I guess the fall that wasn't as bad as we thought. Oh no. If you don't count a mutation, turning us into idiots. But still we get by. Doing what we're most of what we did. Good on both skin jobs. I've been around and I've seen a lot of things. And I tell you something, you ain't seen nothing till you've seen an android bleed. Down that hill, monster steel. 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 Down that hill. So I'm rolling with dead good on both skin jobs. I've been around and I've seen a lot of things. And I tell you something, you ain't seen nothing till you've seen an android bleed. So I'm rolling with dead good on both skin jobs. I've been around and I've seen a lot of things. And I tell you something, you ain't seen nothing till you've seen an android bleed.
Yes, we are back live here on Exit 92 Radio with the Big Bad Boo Bear, with Mellow Mike Tanay, and one Mr. Big J. That's right, we're hanging out here in the RML Studio 1. This is a big episode. I'm still really excited. I've been excited all week. I've been excited before the interview with Dave. I was excited, afterwards. Been waiting to debut it. We got it coming up in just a little bit for all of those of you who are tuning in just now. But first, I want to send a big shout out. If you guys haven't noticed, we got a new piece of artwork displaying the show this week and for the weeks to come. Thanks to, I believe his name was Brett Black on Facebook. I hit him up at the WCPW What Culture Pro Wrestling fan page. Seen his awesome post. I think it was there. It might have been somewhere else. I'm not sure. Brett Black on Facebook. He does awesome posters. And I hit him up and asked him if he'd do one for us. And he was much obliged to. Yeah, Brett Black. And he was really cool. Just great shit. Shout out to that guy because he's a fucking bum. Follow his twatter. Hit him up on the fuck book. Awesome. Love this guy. But yeah, so let's get right down to the nitty gritty. So before we went to break, I said I had an announcement. I've shared it on Facebook, I've shared it on Twitter, so you may already know what exactly I'm about to say. But I was fortunate enough to get in contact with the creator of Botchamania, and he has given me an interview, hopefully tomorrow, 8 a.m. my time, 1 p.m. his time in the UK. We're going to get together for about 30 minutes to an hour and talk a little bit about a Botchamania series, talk about how you can't really idea, And next week, I'll have it on the Wednesday night show to talk about, have the interview then. So hopefully, you guys listening will be able to check that out. Can't wait to do that. I love the Botchamania series. Anybody, I know, Jay, you've never seen it, but Mike, you've seen the Botchamania series, right?
Yeah. It's decent. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I love the little shit he does, you know what I mean? You talk too much. I fucking love that every time. That's hilarious, dude. But yeah, if you've never seen Botchamania, check him out. I think it's he's under the profile name Botcher Nero on YouTube. Go out and check out the Botchamania series. Tell him that the Big Bad Boo Bear from Exit 92 Radio sent you. He's on Twitter at Matthew Gregg, Math MaffeWgreg at Matthew Gregg. Go and follow and retweet the guy. He's cool. But all right, let's get it started. So starting off with the indies, obviously the big ticket right now is for me at least is WCPW. I've been following it. I am up to date on WCPW. But before we go into that, did you have any indie stuff you wanted to cover, Mike, before I start talking about WCPW?
Well, let me hook you up right here. All right, so as of this weekend, what's happening is Acclaim Pro Wrestling. You don't know the promotion, but anyways, they have their Monster Brawl for Halloween. It's in Ottawa.
Ottawa.
Yeah, you know where Ottawa is, right?
That's in Canada, ain't it?
Yeah, it's past Toronto.
Canada?
It's in Canada.
Really?
Yeah, Canadian.
Real Canadian live. Canada.
All right, so it's on the 29th. Let's see here. So main event, APW Championship. Mountain Vanessa Craven versus Frankie the Mobster. Suicide Blonde Zandra Bale versus Shitty Dash Bison. That's a provincial championship match. There's a singles match, Freddie Mercurio versus the new sensation Big Magic. Tag team championship, Demon Assassin, Courtney Rush and Casey Spinelli versus and Danger Zone, my bad, versus Spunk and Logan Reed. And there's a singles match, Scott Jagged Parker versus MVP, Michael Von Payton, The Curse, Cecil Nix versus Prince Ali, and then singles match, Stu Grayson versus KL Shock. There's a 6-man tag match that's happening as well. There's a Heels and Faces streetwear merch table, so that's going to be there. And there's a Halloween costume contest.
Okay, cool,
Yeah.
cool. And I think we lost Jay, but I'll try and get him.
Yes, we did. We'll try and get him back.
Yeah, but so who do you think is gonna be the main star here at this APW? APW?
It's APW, Acclaim Pro Wrestling. I've been following them for a decent amount of years now. I haven't actually gotten to check out every single show they've been doing, but I've gotten a chance to at least see one or two of them here and there when I get a chance, so it's worthwhile. I mean, for a $10 flat rate.
Jay, hold on, Jay, you back?
Yeah, I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, okay, got you back. All right, Mike, you go on ahead, man.
All right, so the way I see it, for $10 flat rate for kids, and you get in advance $20 tickets. It's worth it because everybody's got the same price for seating. It's not like you go some places you get this VIP shit and people are charging $30, $40 a seat, and that's just to sit up front in the first 3 rows. So it's pretty decent. All right. Anyways, that was about it. That's all I have for this week.
Well, so Acclaim Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, Acclaim Pro Wrestling. It's in Ottawa.
Is there any websites that people out there can check them out on? YouTube.
I can link you. I can hook you up with all that. Don't worry about it.
We got Mr. Mike Tanay hooking you guys up with a link to check out Acclaim Pro Wrestling. He thinks it's a pretty good show. I might have to check it out. I got something going on with Jay. I want him to check out some WCPW stuff because I have just been spamming the hell out of that shit for the last 2 weeks. And so I got this set up. I'm going to watch an episode of TNA tomorrow, and he's going to try and watch some WCPW next week. So hopefully, I will be able to give you guys when's the next, the latest episode coming on, Jay? The new episode for WCPW or TNA?
Hello?
Hey, you there?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I just... I heard anything last...
Well, what I asked was, when's the next episode of TNA coming on? Because I told him about, our little thing, where you watch an episode of WCPW and I'm going to watch an episode of TNA. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties with Jay. We're going to try and get him back. I think we may have lost him.
There? Hello?
I'm not sure what's going on.
I heard him there for a few seconds.
Oh, I couldn't hear anything. I was losing him.
Oh.
But anyway, so yeah, the latest episode I think is coming on tomorrow night, and I'm going to try and watch the latest episode of that. And he's going to try and watch the latest episode of WCPW so we can both have an update for you guys next week coming from each other. Try and get Jay back here. But, what was I saying before I went off on that ramble? I don't know. I have no idea. I fucking lost myself. But, yeah, hey, buddy, you back?
Yeah.
Okay. I had asked you when the next episode of TNA comes on.
Tomorrow night. Thursday night.
Because I had told them about... What'd you say?
Huh?
What'd you say, Mike?
Oh, I said it's always on Thursday.
Okay. Because I had told them about our little thing, where you're going to watch an episode of WCPW this weekend, and I'm going to try and watch an episode of TNA tomorrow night.
Yeah, just send it to me in a messenger so I can find it easier.
Yeah.
Got an episode there.
I might send you, the latest episode. I mean, it's wrestling. I mean, storylines aren't too hard to follow when they explain it to you during the show, so I might just send you the latest episode, 14. I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, so we'll jump into some WCPW. Remember to check out that link that Mike put in the chat room for you guys about the APW. I'm going to try and check them out as well when I get the chance. Acclaim Pro Wrestling. Big shout out to you guys out in Ottawa, Canada. But,
And I don't know if it's going to be independent or not, but do you want to mention that all-women's wrestling thing I was telling you I heard about?
Yeah, big deal. So Jay, being the awesome freaking guy that he is, and I would consider independent because it's probably not going to be on a major television station unless they have just enough money to start off with to get going like that. DDP's daughter, Hogan's daughter, and a few other wrestling royalty
The
daughters.
Von Erich. The one that threw me off was the Von Erich's daughter. I was like, wow.
The Von
they're pulling
Erichs
some names.
are coming together and creating a women's wrestling show, specifically, aimed towards, obviously women. That's all the details we have right now. We just know that they're coming together, putting their money together to create a company. I'm interested if it's going to be really good, if it's going to be really bad. It's one of those things, that's either going to be really, really good or really, really bad. That there is no middle ground here.
Well, it'll be interesting, I think, like you're saying, it'll be really good or it'll be really bad, but she also said, as they were asking her, what it was going to be about, she's like, well, it's going to be an all-women's wrestling channel, but you will be seeing some of DDP, as well as, rumored, the return of Hulk Hogan.
Interesting.
And some of a managerial / ownership of the company. Will be making appearances on screen. So
when I first think about it, I don't want to like it, and that's because Brooke Hogan is involved. I don't like Brooke Hogan, never have. But
right.
With the Von Erichs getting involved and DDP's daughter getting involved, I can't not take them seriously. Can't not take them seriously. So
I mean, it was like I said, Von Erichs, and then she went on to say, she's like, I don't know if it's a daughter or to what extent the relationship is, but she was talking about the Von Erich's daughter, and she said the name, and then she said also Benoit, one of the Benoits that the female is supposed to get involved, and I'm like, wow. I mean, they're like pulling all the punches out. You know what I'm saying? They're getting some.
Who's Benoit?
But I didn't know if Benoit. I guess if he had a daughter, the daughter would be gone now. But did he have a sister, or
he may have?
Anybody even know?
I know he had a sister. I think. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% on that. You know what I mean? But I believe he had a sister. So it could be a relation to her. She got into wrestling after the accident. I don't think we'll ever really know. But
so it's basically like a women's wrestling promotion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think it's going to be like
work women or.
In the States, we had that. What was it called? Glow. Yeah, gorgeous ladies of
Glow
wrestling.
on DVD.
I think it'll be something like that. Personally, I mean, that's the impression I got from the interview. It was something like that.
See, for me personally, if it's going to be along those lines, I'm all for it because that was one of those promotions that was so dominant back in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was more geared towards women and children and stuff, and it wasn't more like
Come on, played it off at night. You were sitting there glued to the screen, waiting for it to flip.
Yeah,
unless you get that Return of Glow DVD set that came out in the mid '90s when wrestling was at its peak and Glow had been gone for a few years. I don't know who did it, but somebody decided to bring back Glow for a DVD or VHS, and it was absolutely dreadful. I actually watched the review. Another little, plug.
Yeah.
I actually watched the review over on Wrestling with Regret, on YouTube with Brian Zane, who is also he's been on WWE Talk. I'm gonna try and get him on here again for another interview eventually and see if he has time. He's really awesome. Check him out on YouTube. But yeah, I watched over there and I watched the review and it was absolutely dreadful. I mean, he didn't like it because it was terrible, and honestly, I can see why. I watched the bits that they showed, and the matches were just dreadful.
Alright, so I will give you a little plug here on the page.
GlowTheMovie.com.
Yeah. So that is basically the website to the documentary about Glow. So it talks about how they started and where it all went.
So, and by the way, Glow stands for Glorious Ladies of Wrestling, right?
Gorgeous Ladies
of Wrestling. And, for all those who don't know, Glow was a big promotion, I believe, in the late 80s, right?
Yeah.
Specifically late 80s.
It was a more predominant promotion in the 80s. Like, you had WWF, and you had, like, Rocky Mountain, and all the other wrestling promotions back then that were, like, AJPW and all that, and JPW. But basically, it was a all-female promotion. And that kind of sparked something with people. And it was one of the more predominant ones in the U.S. at the time. They had it in, Vegas? Yeah.
Hey, guys, y'all keep going for just a second. I'll be right back, okay?
Not a problem. Alright, so, they had it in Vegas. That's where the promotion was being aired from. It wasn't
I would think so. I would think that would probably be a big Vegas promotion.
Oh,
it was one of the main shows.
Yeah, I saw the preview for the movie that they put out, the little doc, and they were talking about it, and all the stuff they come out with a chainsaw or something. That's real. And they're holding that up in their hand and going past the audience with it, and somebody goes to reach their hand out. That's real. They're gonna get caught or something. People were poking at it, there's no reality in all of what they were doing, but in layman's terms, that's basically what was happening. They had a whole bunch of that just going on, building up. It wasn't all show. There was a majority of it, but at the same time, there was some realism.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And that's in that thing you put in the chat?
Which thing?
Oh, I thought you put a thing in the chat about Glow.
Oh, yeah, I did. I put glowthemovie.com.
Hey, I'm back, guys.
Welcome back.
For those of you that don't know or that are listening and are trying to figure out what we're talking about, Glow is to wrestling, because you have all the horny bastards that watch wrestling that want to see chicks.
Yeah,
the
that's
same thing
people
to the
watch
NFL to the lingerie football league, to all us horny bastards that want to see bitches hitting each other in football pads. Same synopsis.
But, real quick, the reason I had to take this minute there is because my grandfather-in-law had surgery today, and he's doing a little better, thankfully. He just came out of it. Yeah, so she was giving me an update on that. But, anyways, y'all continue with the Glow. So where were y'all at, when I rudely interrupted both of y'all talking about Glow and horny bastards and lingerie football?
And Mike was explaining about how some of it, if I was understanding correctly, some of it, of course, I think it's any wrestling faction, but scripted. Some of it was kind of they really didn't like each other in the back, and there was real fight happening.
There was a whole bunch of realism to it. Okay, in wrestling you got kayfabe, and it's not all entirely reality, but there was a little more tension. Not with everybody, but with some of the people. And so when they'd come out and stuff, they'd have actual chainsaws and they'd have actual weapons and stuff. So it wouldn't be like, oh well, this is just for show. It'd be say you're going say ECW or something, and you're sitting out in the audience, and someone comes up with a chainsaw, and you're sticking your hand out. What's gonna happen? It's going to get cut off. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, you're going to get fucking cut.
Yeah, right on.
By the way,
I wonder when you get that many women together in a program, they say eventually, all of their cycles will eventually run together. So you're going to have 7 to 10 days where you could have one badass blood match, if you know what I'm saying, dude. That can be off the chain.
You're going to have a few episodes.
Mood swings.
Yeah, you're going to have a few episodes out of the month that are going to be really, really fucking good. A lot of hatred there. She's got hatred for that woman, and she's literally stabbing her with a knife. But it's okay. She can get away with it. She's on her monthly. So.
This week on Glow, a best of.
How'd you get tickets to the Glow show going on downtown? Well, we pulled some strings.
Nice.
That was the worst joke of the evening. I promise they will get better. Anyways.
Somebody pull the plug. Quick, pull the plug.
Oh, it's terrible. But yeah, so, guys, like I always say, I've got WWE 16 running here while I talk to you guys. And I sat down and I made Joe Hendry today from WCPW, and I'm looking. He's battling the Ultimate Warrior, just in a match, and the size difference is insane. This guy is 6'2", and the Ultimate Warrior's still standing a little taller than he is. And
wow.
It's just insane how big those guys were back in the day. You don't think they were giants until you really start looking at the data, I guess. This guy was huge.
Wow.
But so. WCBW, we're going to move on to that. Loaded Report. I'm going to give you guys a quick Refuse to Lose, which was the pay-per-view that they did, the IPPV, which I went and got, which I fucking, it was good. It wasn't the best thing in the world. I think there was a lot of nervousness about the pay-per-view. You could tell a little bit. There were a few botch moves, but overall, would I pay $10 for it again? Yeah. I definitely would. If you got the extra $10 to spend and you want to watch at the very least, the main events were fucking badass. Martin Kirby versus Joseph Connor in the main event for the WCPW World Title, and the co-main event was Joe Hendry taking on Kurt Angle, and just like this match, supposed to be a really good one. It's a dream match for the British community and the American community. The local hero takes on the American hero, and both matches make the night. I mean, you sit through the rest of it. Joe Coffey had a really good match at the beginning. There was some other really good stuff. Martin Kirby got fucking screwed by Adam Pacitti. That fucking bastard. Hashtag justice for Kirby is trending worldwide because what happened is Martin Kirby, he's about to hit the Zoidberg elbow, which, guys will understand if you ever get to watch the show. And he's never been able to hit it. And he was about to hit it and win the WCPW title from Joseph Connors, which is the heel right now. And Adam Pacitti, which was supposed to be the major face, runs out and he screws him. He pushes him off the ropes. Joseph gets up, hits his finisher, rolls him up for the pin, 1, 2, 3. And that's the end of the match. And up to that point, the match was awesome. I was a little perturbed about the ending because I really wanted to see Martin Kirby take it. But I don't know if I was more perturbed about it because I didn't like it or if it was just such a, that kind of ending where it just frustrates you because your guy didn't win the title. So, regardless, I give Refuse to Lose 6.5, 7 out of 10 because, some of the matches were some of the moves were but the main events really made up for it. So if you got the money to spend, $10, you should go get it. But to the Loaded Report, which is the like their Monday Night Raw, sort of. It comes out on Saturdays. This is the results. The first part, Pacitti comes out and snivels to the crowd about the accident with Martin Kirby, and they boo the hell out of him. I mean, up to this point, he'd been coming out every show, and he walks out to the ring, and he says, "Hello, my name is Adam Pacitti, and I'm your WCPW General Manager." And he gets cheers. They blow the roof off the place. But this time, he walks out, and they were booing him out of the stadium. I mean, fucking fingers held up everywhere. People throwing glow sticks at him. The heat that this guy got from fucking with Martin Kirby is insane. Mike, you say something?
I said, ouch.
Yeah. Let's see. So after that part, Martin Kirby runs out, interrupts him, of course, and he snivels out of the ring like a sewer rat, the bastard. # justice for Kirby. Next up, Big Damo issues an open challenge and is defeated by Joe Coffey. Real quick, some news on Big Damo. Big Damo is headed to NXT. For all of those of you who haven't watched WCPW, you will be getting a taste of it very soon as Big Damo heads to NXT. And it will eventually be on tapings here in the next few months. Hopefully,
Does NXT actually air anywhere?
it's still big. If you don't have network, you're not watching it. I don't have network, I'm not watching it. You know what I mean?
Well, I just wonder why they're wasting that and not putting it on USA along with Raw and SmackDown. I mean, they could run the week and Monday Night Raw, Tuesday Night SmackDown, Wednesday Night NXT. Why don't they do that?
I don't know. Honestly, I think Vince should just invest in a channel on TV. I really think he should. I mean, because, I really think, the wrestling is selling right now very well. And if he does end up buying TNA, which we will talk more about later on, he could have all this different stuff, all these different, archives to play and have plenty of content to last through weeks upon weeks. He has that now. So, I'm just saying he should invest in that. But Big Damo issues an open challenge and is defeated by Joe Coffey in what was a pretty good matchup. Tyler Bates, which is one half of Mustache Mountain, takes on Liam Slater and pulls off the victory after it was a mat classic. It's just a mat classic. And that's really the only way to describe it. Great match. Prospect takes on Los Perspectiva in one of the worst matches I've ever seen. Some of you out there may be disagreeing with me who watch WCPW on the regular, but I didn't like it. Lost Perspectiva is Prospect. What happened is Prospect was suspended before Refuse to Lose, and their Jamie Kennedy, I think, or something Kennedy, their manager still wanted them to wrestle, so he put masks on them, and then gave one guy a sombrero and called them the newest luchadors from Mexico, when in reality they weren't. They were Prospect. And so Adam Pacitti, before he went heel, made the first match of the Adam Pacitti Tag Team Tournament be Prospect versus Los Perspectiva. And they had to figure it out. It was obviously they couldn't be in two places at one time. Prospect beat Los Perspectiva. Still, it was kind of just a gimmick match. I think it was more there to fill time, whatever. Next up was Johnny Moss takes on Trent Seven. Johnny Moss versus Trent Seven, which becomes the loaded match of the night. That's right, loaded match of the night, as these two redefined what a powerhouse really was. Man, you want to talk about a match. It was like seeing Hogan and The Rock or Andre the Giant and Big Show go one-on-one. These two are just such big guys. I mean, they're running into each other. It was a little slow, but really when you watch it, you watch the story they build in the ring, it's absolutely fucking magic. I suggest it to anybody. Johnny Moss versus Trent Seven. Trent Seven being the other half of Mustache Mountain. Great match. Looking forward to the tag team match, the Adam Pacitti Tag Team Tournament. And in the main event, Pete Dunne continued his losing streak as Joe Hendry bounces back after his loss to Kurt Angle. I didn't mention that. He lost to Kurt Angle due to the ankle lock. Great matchup there at Refuse to Lose. He had some words to say, talking about he's going to stay, keep going. He's Joe Hendry, yada, yada, yada. And that's it for Loaded. It was a great show. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. The only real problem was the Prospect match. But the rest of it was really good. You're going to hear us talk a little about it on the interview, which is going to be coming up here in just a few minutes. But I hadn't watched the full thing yet, so I couldn't really give a Loaded report then. So, but yeah, you guys, did it sound interesting to y'all at least? Hopefully, maybe.
Yeah. Feel like it's got some promise to it.
I think it does. Like I said, I wasn't a fan of the Lost Perspective versus Prospect thing. That was kind of, and you know what I mean? Like, it's like seeing the NWO take on Lost New World Ordero or some shit. You know what I mean? Hogan in a mask taking on
NWO versus the LWO.
That would have been kind of interesting, though. I mean, I guess. But Prospects, yeah, they're okay. I'm going to try and get an interview with another person from WCPW eventually down the road. Hopefully Susie Kennedy or somebody from Prospect or something. But, as promised, we're reaching the end of our indie segment. And, we got to get that interview with Dave Bradshaw. So I'm going to play a song, one quick song, and then we're going to go into the interview with Dave Bradshaw. Guys, I'm going to let you go so y'all can get prepared to listen to the show, because I know you guys haven't got to hear the interview yet. I've got to hear it already like twice because I've been fucking giddy as a schoolgirl to fucking listen to it. So, whatever. But, yeah, let me get a song in here. I'll go ahead and let you guys go. Jay, Mike B, I'll call you guys back around. You might miss like the last 10 minutes of it, so I might call you a little early if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Jay, I'll see you in a little bit. Mike B, I'll see you in a little bit. I'm gonna let y'all go as of right now.
Peace.
All right.
And then, yeah, you heard the little noise there. And then we will be back here in a few. Let's see what song we're gonna bring on to rock us in to the interview with Dave Bradshaw, which was just oh my God, such a great guy. Like, really, really great guy. Like, I told him anytime he wants to come on the show, he's more than welcome to. Hopefully he will take me up on that offer. But yeah, so we're going to play a Sound of Thunder's Tower of Souls, and then we're going to go into the big interview with Dave Bradshaw.
Hey, this is Nina Asageta from A Sound of Thunder, and you're listening to Exit 92 Radio.
Samedi, king of the dead side, struck a deal to confront the Shadow Man, while Sandria's brother prepared.
Andrea's brother had grown more powerful. He was now the master of the dark arts. The master was building a tower of souls to escape the dead side. Harvested from the souls of the dead flows through the tower to break the barrier so the master can return to the earth.
We're all monsters in a world so cruel. Blind to the endless horror. We're all fools. He wants to break the wheel and end our suffering. To rise and shine his God by killing all who live and dream. With every new soul, the tower grows taller yet on earth. Darkness betrayed. The light of the dead appeals to the shadow. An unholy alliance is born. The master is building a tower of souls. Dark and the shadow collide, waging a war on the dead side. Some AD commands all those who have died. The shadow destroys the dark on the dead side. Oh, the master is
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the big interview with one Mr. Dave Bradshaw, one of the voices of WCPW. Dave, if you'd like to say hello to everybody out there.
Hello, pleasure to be here. How you
So,
doing?
I'm great. I'm hanging out with you this morning, 10 o'clock my time, 3 in the afternoon for you.
So you're in Florida, right?
Yep.
I went to school in Florida.
Did you really? Where at?
I am a Florida Gator.
No.
So I did my master's degree in Florida. So
Hmm.
I was a season ticket holder at the Swamp for 3 years.
No way. So not only
There you
are
go.
you a hater of one of the greatest wrestlers to ever get in the ring, Martin Kirby, you also are a
Yes.
Gator.
Yes,
You poor
a Gator
thing.
and a hater.
A Gator and a hater. It makes sense. It makes sense. 'Cause I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan, so, you know.
Oh man, that's terrible. I went to the Georgia and Florida play each other every Halloween, right? Over
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Jacksonville.
It's
I
like the
went to
biggest
3
thing.
of them. We lost all 3.
Dude, you need to come to more then. You should come to this one this year. Like, you
Really?
should, yeah, you should, because maybe you guys will lose so Georgia can win again.
Well, see, I think I was there for 3 bad years because normally we kick your guys' asses, right? But I think I was just,
Yeah.
I was straight after the Tim Tebow era.
Oh, God.
After that, yeah, it all went downhill a little bit for a while. But we're coming back. We're good. So
Yeah, whatever.
anyway,
Got really cool little factoid, Dave Bradshaw, Florida Gator. That's awesome.
there you go.
All right, so let's get straight to it. I got some questions here. I got one from a fan, 2 from fans actually.
Okay.
Let me get to them real quick. I'll put their names beside them so I wouldn't forget which ones they were. All right, here we go. First one is actually from my wife. Actually, she's not a huge wrestling fan, but she's always wanted to ask somebody in your position, how hard is it to keep your cool if the talent is possibly hurt or worse while you're watching the show? You know, you're behind the mic and somebody takes a pile driver and they go down. How hard is it to keep from, you're cool if you know the person or whatever?
It's difficult. I don't know if it's an advantage is the right word, but the advantage I guess you have as a commentator is you don't always know. I tend to not ask the guys exactly what's going to happen in the matches, if you know what I mean. So sometimes I know the finish, sometimes I don't, but I certainly don't know the detail of everything they're going to do. So quite often, on the few occasions when that has happened, I've been half wondering whether it was, planned, whether they were just selling, whether it was part of the match. So you have to keep going, obviously, because you don't entirely know if it is scripted or if that's intended or not. But in any case, you just sort of, I don't know, you just kind of power through in the moment, and you have to rely on the fact that there's other people who are going to take care of those, take care of an injury and take the guys to the back, I guess.
So you try and keep it some spontaneity there. That way,
Yeah. It sounds kind of cruel, but if you are genuinely worried, it adds some authenticity to your commentary as well. It makes you more emotionally invested in the moment. So as much as you are worried, it's not really your job to help the person to do that. So you kind of just have to power through and hope they're okay. And then obviously the first thing you do when you get back behind the curtain is find out how they're doing. But in the meantime, you have to sort of carry on with the show.
Carry on. I had another fan question. We're going to get to my questions for you. This one is from Emilio Kirtley, and they ask, how on earth do you deal with listening to Alex Shane?
Oh, great question. I don't know. It's a nightmare. Alex is he is a force of nature. He is. I've known Alex for 8 years. What a lot of people, I think, maybe who are new to British wrestling, perhaps they've just become fans through.
That's me. I am very new to British wrestling.
Well, see, what a lot of people don't know is that Alex is actually a real innovator in British wrestling. He was the guy who first brought Ring of Honor over. He was instrumental in a company over here called the FWA, who were huge in the early sort of 2000s. They were almost, I guess, if you want a crude equivalent, they were our equivalent to ECW in terms of their sort of innovation during that period of time. So Alex has been a promoter. He's been a British heavyweight champion. He's done all this kind of stuff, and now he's trying out commentary. And he is once again brought his own inimitable style to commentary. And sometimes we don't rehearse, obviously, when we commentate.
No.
I just kind of have to go with whatever he's going to say, and I'm as often as surprised as the viewers are, I'm sure. So,
I think Alex is a great commentator. He picks all the right guys. I mean, he's a Martin Kirby fan, obviously, and then he's got all these other, he's great at it. He just picks the right, he gets on you a little bit sometimes, I can see, but in all seriousness, I like Alex. I think he's really cool. I love listening to both of y'all together. Y'all's banter is oh god. Sometimes I have lost track of watching the match, paying attention to what you guys are saying.
You know what I compare him to? He's like one of those. Everyone has within their group of friends. Everyone has a friend who's like they're just so annoying, but they're your friend anyway. That's Alex Shane on commentary. You just kind of have to put up with him and just sort of ignore the ridiculousness or point it out and try and make them realise that they need to reevaluate their lives sometimes, which is what Alex maybe needs to do with some of his comments. But he never will. He'll never listen to me.
No, I can remember the first, and I'm fixing to get to my question, but I wanted to say I can remember watching, because recently I was trying to find something to replace watching Raw and SmackDown, because I like Raw and SmackDown, but I wanted something different,
Uh-huh.
And I had been following What Culture for like 3 years. And I remember when they announced the WCPW thing, and I was like, oh, I'll check it out eventually. And I just never did. And, finally I was like, I'm going to go check out this WCPW. I started at loaded number 1. And in 2 weeks, I've caught up. I'm at 13. I've loved every bit of it. I can remember when you and Shane first started. Y'all weren't there from the very first show, right?
No, they did. I think they did about 5 or 6 weeks without us. Yeah, first show I did was one called Built to Destroy, which was their first kind of semi-big show as
Yeah.
opposed to their weekly loaded show.
And I can remember watching that one, the first time you and Alex showed up, and it was weird for a minute because I was so used to Ross and Simon. Well, actually, just Ross, or like 2 weeks before, because Simon had left. I don't know where he went. And I was so used to Ross, and I was liking him. I can't imagine how it would be with you, Ross, and Alex Shane in commentary. I think that would be pretty hilarious.
Oh god, I think I would lose the will to live. Imagine sitting between those two for 2 hours. It'd be terrible.
Oh man. Okay, so we got the fan questions out of the way. Hope all you fans I promoted it so much trying to get some fan interaction. I got a few people, but that was it. One of them doesn't even watch wrestling. She was just trying to help me out, damn it. But here we go. So, from the very beginning, how did wrestling commentating start for you? Like, where did you really get the idea to really start wanting to do wrestling commentary?
I've been a wrestling fan since I was, 8 years old. So I say wrestling, mostly WWF, honestly.
Nothing wrong with that.
And so I was like one of my first experiences as a wrestling fan. I went to SummerSlam '92 at Wembley Stadium, and then from then onwards I was kind of hooked. So
you were at SummerSlam '92.
Yes, I was.
I have that on DVD. I love that one.
You can see me sometimes. If you look 25 rows back, look for a 9-year-old version of me, you'll see it. But yeah, I was at that, and then with my Ultimate Warrior sign, and ever since then I've been a fan. But I did student radio when I was at university at my undergrad. So this was in England, not in Florida.
Okay.
But I was the station, the manager of the student radio station at my university in England, and then did a bit of like politics type shows and like news type shows. I even did like music shows. I kind of did everything actually, but I did some sports as well. I did some like football, like soccer commentary, and then when I graduated from there and got into the real world, I kind of thought, well, what can I do to keep
Dave, you still there, boss? We may have lost Dave. Dave, I'm going to throw on a track real quick to put a quick break in there to fix the audio. Sorry about this, guys. I don't know what's going on here. We're going to throw up some Arrowhead real quick. Here's some Arrowhead with Desert Cult Ritual. Welcome back to Exit 92 Radio's big interview with Dave Bradshaw. Sorry about the tech issues there, but it happens. It's live, live sort of. And we're back here with Dave. We were just talking about how you got into commentary. You said that you had done all this stuff at undergrad on the radio and wanted to keep it, and then you kind of went out.
Oh, okay. So I was. I don't know what happened there. I don't know if that was my end or your end of the technical issues, but so I after I finished, I was like, well, how can I how can I keep doing something, radio related, and then figured, well, I'm a wrestling fan, so from then it was kind of a natural leap to commentary, and then I just had to find someone who would employ me.
So, you actually answered my second question in your first question, talking about you're a wrestling fan from a child. So, maybe I can replace it with, I guess, Old Warrior was your favorite then? Ultimate Warrior?
Oh, when I was like 8 or 9, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was always Warrior over Hogan.
Warrior Hogan, I can't blame you there. They're both awesome.
Yeah, no, Warrior first. That's what I mean. Like when it was Warrior v Hogan, I was a Warrior guy, 100%.
Yeah, I remember the first time I seen that, I thought Hogan was gonna really pull it off, but Warrior came out of nowhere. Damn it. All right, so what was your first mainstay wrestling gig? What were you? What was the first company you worked for to call the matches?
So I started going to a company called IPW UK, who are still going now. They're based in kind of Kent, which is in like the sort of southeast of England, just outside of London. And I asked their promoter, who's a friend of mine he's a friend now, called Daniel Edler, if they had any need for a commentator, and he was like, well, we might kind of soon come to a few shows. So I just went to several months shows as a fan, and eventually they needed someone, so then they ran some auditions at the studio where they did all their editing in East London. So I went over to that for a day and just kind of had to commentate a match with their color commentator, and they liked it and then put me on the show the next month. So I guess the whole process from getting in touch to doing my first show was probably, 5 months. And I did my first show in about September 2008.
Now, how was that? How was calling your first show? You nervous or?
Oh yeah, like being backstage is terrifying when you're like, when you're first there, because there's a certain etiquette to how you're supposed to behave backstage, which I know has been kind of well documented. But things like shaking hands with everyone, as a sign of respect when you first enter the arena and when you leave, which I didn't even know until Dean Ayers, my color commentator, who took me under his wing. Thank you, Dean. Explained that to me, and then there's a whole sort of things you just don't see as a fan. People working out their matches and how it's all going to go down. So it was fascinating, and then, but yeah, to be out there live in front of an audience is there's no way to prepare for that the first time it happens. You just have to kind of go and hope you don't suck.
I definitely think you've been doing really well in the not sucking department. I love the energy you bring to the matches sometimes, man, especially at the end. That is, I wanted to tell you about this because it's just so funny. When I get home from work, I get home at like 9 o'clock at night. Mm-hmm. And so, to have some time to myself, I'll sit up and I'll watch. Here recently, I've been binging WCPW to catch up. I wanted to catch all the way up before the interview.
Uh-huh.
And, I would sit there and then, like, we get to the last match and then somebody runs in and something happens and you'd be like, oh my God, we gotta go off air. But if you come back next week, and see it. And there's an episode for next week, and I'm like, damn it, I gotta go to the next one. I want to see what happens. And then it would go on and I'd be at 9 o'clock turns into 4 o'clock in the fucking morning. And I'm like, I can't come in next week. I've got to go to bed.
Yeah, at some point you have to leave it. But that's good television, right? If we can leave you on a cliffhanger, then and make you want to come back next week, then we've done our job, I guess. But
yeah, you and Alex and commentary and the wrestling as a whole, it's been perfect.
Well, thank you. I'm very flattered to hear that.
Yeah, y'all deserve it. A lot of us fans out there, we'll talk on those little Facebook groups and stuff, and we all like you and Alex's commentary for sure.
Well, that's good to hear. I hope so. We do our best, I guess. But it's it's been so much fun. I to be honest, I hadn't done, like I say, I started in 2008, and then I was doing a lot of live commentary around the UK for I don't know the next 3 years. But then I went to Florida for 3 years to do my masters. So I kind of stopped for a while, and then since I've been back the last couple of years, I've done quite a lot of commentary, but it's all been studio stuff. Me and Alex are the English language commentary team for AAA in Mexico. So we do a lot of their stuff, but we do it afterwards. Obviously, you know, we
you're not gonna
record it. No, we're not. We don't fly to Mexico, so we kind of do it after. So actually, doing this WCPW stuff has been really the first time in probably 5 years. One of the first. I've done a couple of shows here and there, but really the first time I've regularly been doing live commentary for quite a while. So it's been great. Live is so much more fun. You know, when you're in the arena, it's more fun than doing it. Yeah, because you're among the fans, you feel the energy. It's just so much better than doing it in post production if you can.
So speaking of the energy and, you know, feeling the fans, what has been your favorite match to call thus far in your career?
Oh, my whole career in WCPW?
If you want to do either, you know, if you just want to go whole career, you know, and just tell us what your favorite match is. I mean, you could say WCPWs as well. I mean, either or. Because that's the one, see, like I said, I'm very uneducated as far as the British wrestling scene is concerned. WCPW was my first dive into British wrestling, and I have absolutely fell in love with it thus far. Joe Coffey's wrestling style is so different than what I'm used to. You know, El Ligero. I mean, I'm used to luchadors, but he's got a kind of a different, you know, British-esque to his luchador and stuff. And it's been really good. So I don't know a lot of the other companies yet. So if you want to do WCPW, that's up to you. But if you want to go your whole career, it's fine as well.
I'll give you a couple. So WCPW, the highlight so far. And no offense to Alex, but I've just recorded. So you know, Refuse to Lose. We recorded on a Thursday, which was it was live, right? It was on iPay-per-view. That was on Thursday, I think the 6th of this month.
Really good, really good show, by the way, guys.
And then we recorded 2 episodes of Loaded, which is the one that was last week's and this coming week's was on the Friday, and then the Saturday we went to Manchester to do a big show which was headlined by Cody Rhodes against Kurt Angle. And for that show, which we're calling True Legacy, you'll see that in a couple of weeks on the YouTube channel.
Sweet.
I was commentating with Jim Cornette. So you'll hear that soon.
Wow.
That's just, for me, you know, such an incredible thing to be able to do. And I think it was the biggest live crowd I've ever commentated in front of as well. We had 2,600 fans there. Just a huge, it was in an ice rink, you know, arena, kind of a hockey arena. Okay. So it was just unbelievable. So that's far and away my highlight in WCPW so far. I guess prior to that, I did a lot of stuff in IPW UK and in the FWA. Those were the 2 companies I worked in the sort of late noughties, you know, sort of 08 to 11 kind of time. And among them, there was a tag team feud we had in IPW UK for a while, which was a tag team called the Leaders of the New School, which was Zack Sabre Jr. You probably heard of him. He's, in my view, the world's best technical wrestler right now. And Marty Scurll. They were teaming.
I've heard both of them.
And they were against a team called the Thrillers, who were Mark Haskins, who's the current Progress champion, and Joel Redman, who was in NXT for a while after that. But those guys had just this incredible year-long feud. They had like a TLC match in the middle of it, multiple tag title matches. So that was some incredible stuff that I did early in my career. And actually, one more thing I would say was the second weekend I ever did commentary, I got to do a show with Ring of Honor guys in Wolverhampton, just outside of Birmingham over here. And Daniel Bryan was on that show, and Seth Rollins, who was Tyler Black at the time,
nice.
El Generico, like Sami Zayn, you know, all these different guys, the Briscoes.
I love them.
And man, I've been in the business for, you know, working in it as opposed to being a fan for about a week. And I found myself, you know, commentating these guys who were obviously, they hadn't signed for WWE back then, but they were still pretty big names, you know, and it was, just incredible. So yeah, I've had a lot of, you know, I'm very lucky, I'm very blessed. I've had a lot of great experiences through wrestling.
Well, you know, believe it or not, you were actually my first bigger wrestling interview. I've had 2 people on the wrestling show that we do on our podcast channel. I had Brian Zane from Wrestling with Regret, which was a semi big one. That was a pretty cool one for me. Then I had Wicked J, which was a wrestler from a company called ESW out in Texas. Unfortunately, he passed away a few months back. But yeah, he was a backyard wrestler from a company. So you're actually the first official, full length company man that I've actually talked to talking about with WCPW and all the other promotions you've worked. So
I'm pleased to be here.
I've been pretty excited about this on since I got you to since I badgered you enough and you said yes.
No, man, it's fun. We were talking on Twitter, right? I mean, I'm enjoying the banter with the fans on Twitter, and there's been a lot of it the past couple of weeks. This controversy about Martin Kirby has been generating quite some interest.
It is that I can't say controversy. It just doesn't sound right to me. But controversy. It's been
controversy. Yeah, that's the American way of saying it, right?
Yeah. It is. Yeah, this controversy has been insane. Adam Pacitti has turned into this treacherous snake, and it's...
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, granted, he's coming across a little bit erratic in the past couple of weeks, but I think he's been driven to it to a point. Like, the way I said this to Alex on commentary last week, right? And I'll say it again here. You can't have it both ways. Like, people were spent the last 6-8 weeks saying that Adam Pacitti's a weak general manager because he banned the pile driver, and then everyone was doing pile drivers, and Travis Banks just bullied him into getting into the triple threat match at Refuse to Lose, and all this kind of stuff. And then suddenly he, makes a bold move and actually rights a wrong by, Martin Kirby should never have been given that title shot in the first place, so he corrected that. You might not like how he did it, but he did it, and it was a bold move, and then people criticize him for that. So, in a way, the guy can't win.
Let me update the people who are that will be listening. Martin Kirby wrestled Joseph Connors at that Refuse to Lose show that the great Dave Bradshaw mentioned earlier. Well, Martin Kirby has had an eventful few weeks. He's been winning and winning and winning. He's just been tearing up the roster, and he had a match the week before Refuse to Lose, and Adam Pacitti earlier would not give him a title shot at Refuse to Lose, and so he handcuffed himself to the ring for a match, almost 2 matches out of the night.
Oh, I mean, and before that, he refused to leave the ring and started doing his own version of karaoke, right? Called Kirby-oke, which was awful. My ears are still bleeding. And so the whole thing, he basically sabotaged our weekly program for close to half an hour and gets a title shot out of it. But I mean, Pacitti didn't have a choice because the guy wasn't going to leave any other way. But then he's, if you think of this from Adam Pacitti's perspective, right? If you're Adam Pacitti, you can't allow a guy to win the world title having gained his shot in that way. Otherwise, everyone could just handcuff themselves to the ropes every week and get a title shot that way. What's the point of even having number one contenders matches if you're going to do it that way?
You put it that way, I can kind of see. But I don't know. I don't think his actions, because like I was about to say, when he had the match at Refuse to Lose, middle of the match, Adam Pacitti runs out. When he was about to hit the most electrifying elbow, Martin Kirby was about to hit the most electrifying elbow in sports entertainment today. The Zoidberg elbow.
We don't know if it's the most electrifying elbow because he's never actually successfully hit it.
He was going to. He was going to do it,
Well, yeah, he says that every week. And
Adam runs out and pushes him off the ring. And it has been absolutely, people have been losing their minds ever since.
They have. And I just don't get it. I mean, apart from what I just said about, why Pacitti did what he had to do. Why are people Martin Kirby fans? He's the most annoying man on the planet.
Dude, I have to agree with Alex Shane here and say that I've been on the Martin Kirby train before it had wheels on it. So, I can't. I don't know. He's just. I've liked him. I've always thought those first few matches I was a little about Martin Kirby. I was solidly behind Ligero. And that was a great feud. The El Ligero Martin Kirby feud was really good. And it all started at the Fat Ligero segment. I don't know.
Yes.
That was really funny, and it was just after that with the Will Ospreay match, just bolted him into. I mean, you have to admit, love him or hate him, the Martin Kirby Will Ospreay match is still one of the greatest matches I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah. I mean, credit where it's due. By the way, I don't have any problem with Martin Kirby in terms of his ability in ring. No doubt he's a incredibly talented wrestler. That match against Will Ospreay in particular was remarkable. But he's man, like how people watched Kirby Oki and then him cuffing himself to the ring for half an hour, and that made him more popular, not less. Makes me wonder if I just don't understand the world anymore. I don't know.
It's just time to call it quits, you know.
Yeah, well, I might just go and dig a hole and live in it for the rest of my life until I understand humanity again.
Oh man, now you know Martin Kirby. Though, like you said, I love his in-ring ability. He's been really good in the ring. They've all been really good. Joe Coffey, Ella Garrett. See, that's one thing that I wanted to say to you when I had you on here. Because I got a few more questions for you, but I wanted to say that almost every show that I've watched from WCPW, there's at least been one match that was like just absolutely insane match of the year material. I mean, I don't know, it's just been awesome.
Yeah, I think the match quality has just been, and the thing I find most interesting with this, with what we're doing on Loaded every week is that you sometimes just don't know where that match of the night is going to come from either. Like this past week, we had a pair of singles matches between two tag teams who are competing.
Hold on, spoilers for anybody who's listening and haven't seen it yet.
I won't announce who won these matches,
okay.
But we have a team who are fairly new to the company called Mustache Mountain.
Love them.
And then a team who are calling themselves All Business is their new name. They're Johnny Moss and Liam Slater. And they paired off into two singles matches. So Slater and Liam Slater and Tyler Bate, who's one half of Mustache Mountain, had this just such a fun, like old World of Sports style singles match. And then Johnny Moss, who's just huge. I call him the Cumbrian Man Mountain, and that's a very apt description. He fought the other half of Mustache Mountain, Trent Seven. And Seven and Moss, they're both heavyweights, and they just both, man. I saw someone describe them on Twitter afterwards as just warriors, and that's exactly right. Hard hitting isn't the word for that, and it came from nowhere. I didn't even know that match was coming up until I arrived at the arena that day, and then boom! To me that was match of the night.
Because I watched a little bit last night before I went to bed. I didn't get to finish it. I made it to Los Perspectiva versus Prospect, which was dreadful.
Oh man! Speaking of annoying people.
Prospect definitely annoying. I'll give you that for sure. Kennedy gets on my damn nerves.
Well, me and him have some back and forth on Twitter from time to time. He's a piece of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I had another question from a fan that I was on the other page here, forgot about. Do you ever get to work? It's a two-part question. Do you ever get to work with Adam Pacitti very closely? Like, at all, do you talk to him? Do y'all ever, have meetings or anything together, I guess is what they're trying to say?
No, not really. Like, obviously, I see him at shows. I did see Adam Blompier at shows until Rampage destroyed him, and happily I haven't seen him since. But no, like they're he's a busy man, is Adam Pacitti, because he's the general manager, obviously, and he's also involved in the YouTube channel, the What Culture YouTube channel, making his own videos and stuff. So I see him at shows, and we talk occasionally on social media. But no, he's very busy and under considerable stress at the moment. I think it's fair to say.
The second part of this question is, I guess, do you ever work closely with Adam Pacitti? And if so, it doesn't matter, but if so, is it true that he hates puppies?
Adam Pacitti hates puppies?
That's what somebody asked there.
I don't know. I think that sounds like someone trying to slander his good character again. But I think that's one of those curb crawlers, Kirby fans, as they're calling themselves.
The curb.
So I'm not gonna dignify that with a reply.
All right. So you said whenever we originally corresponded, that you had the opportunity to work closely with JR for a little bit. How was that? 'Cause I know you said he was your hero.
Yes.
And how was working with your hero? I mean, was it all that you could ask for? Or?
I didn't get to commentate with JR in the way I did with Jim Cornette. It was two very different experiences, because with Jim Cornette, as I say, we were commentating it, and because we weren't commentating live, by the way, we were pre-recording. Jim was able to, between matches, was able to give me feedback and say this went well, this didn't, and it was just so useful. So he was so generous with his time. Was Jim Cornette, and that was incredibly helpful. With JR, it was more like I only met him on the day, I met him the night before of Refuse to Lose. And obviously he'd flown in and he'd done his homework. He knew a fair bit about all the different storylines and the wrestlers, but still he wanted to have someone there to help. And he was kind enough to let me be one of the people in their ear, in the headphones during the show.
Okay, cool.
So I was kind of what we call it the gorilla position, right? The production desk just behind the curtain before people go out. And I was in kind of, I was in constant contact with the commentary team. My mic was constantly on, so I could talk to them at any time, but mostly, it was JR and Jim Cornette and Alex. So I just kind of let them have at it. They don't need me telling them how to do their job. But, just the very fact that JR was willing to, trust me with that role, I thought was quite telling of what a good person he is. And he's just, he's iconic, isn't he? Like, just that voice, like, is such a big part of all of our childhoods. And just to kind of, and I was in the dressing room sort of afterwards when a few of the wrestlers came in and asked him and Jim Cornette for their feedback. And he was just, he's like Cornette, he was just very, very happy to, give constructive feedback to everyone and just the real part of the team. So yeah, very impressive guy. They say never meet your heroes, right? Well, this wasn't the case with JR. He was a really top gentleman, and it was an honor to meet him.
Well, that was, I actually, when I was a kid and I started watching wrestling was, I'm only 24, so I'm a little bit younger than you, I think. Mm-hmm. But I started at the pinnacle of wrestling, the Attitude Era. And, JR would there's some matches that I go back and watch today that weren't even that good, but because JR's commentary was there, him and Jim and Jerry the King Lawler, they just magic. It was just magic. The Mankind versus Undertaker match of '96 at King of the Ring in the Hell in a Cell was a really cool match. The bumps were good, but it was very slow. But JR kept it, to where, is he gonna die? Is Mankind gonna fucking die this show?
Mm-hmm. There's so many moments, from that era of WWE where there's kind of iconic lines from JR, and sometimes as a commentator, because obviously anyone who's a wrestling commentator has been so influenced by him, you kind of have to be a little bit careful not to be like a cheap rip-off of JR. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. You have to really try and come up with your own style and not just sort of, what would JR say? He's that influential in what I do. That it's really hard. It's been a bit easier recently because there's Mauro Ranallo now as well, who, by the way, I think is incredible in a totally different style to JR. And so when you have sort of several guys you can borrow things from and learn from, that helps. But yeah, JR is a different plane of existence to the rest of us in the commentary world, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, because I called a few football games from my high school, and he was the reason that I wanted to do stuff like that, because I wanted to be that guy. I wanted to do WrestleMania, welcome to the grandest show of them all. It's just, when you hear JR talk and do those matches, it's insane.
Oh yeah, there's no one like him. I don't know what other adjectives to use to describe him. He is the voice of wrestling, and he will continue to be for as long as he wants to be. I hope he keeps going. He's coming over here to do another project in Britain soon. I know he's doing New Japan, for American TV, I think. And it's just great that he's still out there doing stuff, post WWE, because it would have been a real shame if he'd just sort of, packed it in entirely after that.
He could have retired and lived the rest of his life off of his WWE years, but it is great that he didn't.
He's a big college football fan as well, by the way.
Yeah.
The reason as I understand it, the reason he didn't, as I say, we filmed Refuse to Lose on the Thursday, The reason he didn't stick around for, I think the reason he didn't stick around for the Friday and Saturday shows we were recording was he went to get on a flight at 4 a.m. on the Friday morning, I don't know, about 5 or 6 hours after Refuse to Lose finished. He had a taxi pick him up from his hotel to go to Newcastle Airport so that he could fly to Dallas so that he could go and watch his Oklahoma team play Texas on the Saturday. That's how committed he is. He flew across an ocean.
You're going to stop him from getting to that Oklahoma game.
Exactly.
So, I've only got a few more questions before I have to let you go, but I wanted to ask, do you think that WCPW is ever going to get onto a level like the bigger companies like ROH, TNA, or even, WWE one day if they keep going the way they are?
Yeah. What's really interesting about the way WCPW has become so big so quickly, what people forget, I think, is that this company as an actual wrestling promotion is less than 6 months old.
Yeah.
And yet we just did a show in Britain on an independent wrestling show where we drew over 2,500 fans, which is 5 years ago that would have been completely unheard of in Britain. There's a couple of companies who are really succeeding now in Britain who are doing sort of similar numbers, but they've been around 3 or 4 years. And I think the reason that WCPW is growing so quickly is that they've taken an entirely different model as to how to build a wrestling company. So what they've done is they've become sort of popular YouTubers first. They become YouTube personalities and then transition that following into their own wrestling promotion. And it's something that I don't think anyone else has really tried in the way that they have, and it's had pretty spectacular results. So I think, as long as they keep innovating and thinking how to build a wrestling promotion in this kind of YouTube age in which we live, then the sky's the limit.
What did you think whenever you got the call to come work at WCPW? Were you skeptical because of them starting off with YouTube and going into wrestling? I mean,
when I got the call, they'd already been going for a month, so I knew that I had some idea what their production values were like. I'd seen obviously the first 3 or 4 shows. I was confident that it was gonna work. I think, by their own admission, there was a couple of things that needed ironing out in the first couple of weeks, but I think that they very quickly learned how to make their show work and how to please their audience. And it's been, the numbers speak for themselves. It's just been such a fun thing to be doing. I'm so pleased to be involved in it. And, it's one of the it's one of 3 things I do. I do, as I said, I do AAA in Mexico, and I do New Generation Wrestling, which is another big British promotion that's on around the world on the Fight Network, which is a TV network that's in about 36 countries around the world. Mm-hmm. So I do 2 British promotions, and there's some overlap. A lot of the guys are on both promotions. Like El Liguero's on both of NGW and What Culture. So is Liam Slater. So is Rampage. So there is some overlap, but it's they're all great fun in different ways. AAA is obviously Lucha Libre, which is an entirely different animal. What Culture is what I just said, which is this kind of phenomenon that's grown up through YouTube. And then New Generation Wrestling is sort of a more traditional promotion in the way it's built itself up over time. But it's doing really fun things as well, really compelling storylines. So I'm having a ball at the moment. Everything I'm doing is great. I love it.
That's awesome. That's great. You always gotta love what you do. I wish I, one day maybe, because right now I'm doing what I love to do. I mean, I'm a butcher for a retail store, actually.
Okay.
And I love doing that as well. But one day I'd like to have something to do with wrestling if I can ever get my hands on it.
Just got to go for it. That's what I found. You just kind of, you only get there if you ask, right? So I just, if it's commentating you want to do, or whatever it is, you've got to do your homework, find some people who are, local promotions that you like, and then just try and get some experience and see where it leads. You never know.
All right, so I got another question for. Probably this is going to be the second to last one, or the last one possibly.
Okay.
You working in America, or living in America comparing to living in the UK, watching wrestling here, the WWE, ROH, TNA, the big companies versus the companies of the UK, what is the different, how is the styles clash as far as British wrestling and American wrestling for you? How do the styles clash between the two?
Well, I mean, for me, it's not just those two as well, because obviously I said I do lucha.
I'm sorry,
and
AAA
then,
too.
Yeah, and then I also we for a while until New Japan now have, as I mentioned, they have JR doing some stuff for them and other English language commentators. But me and Alex did some New Japan stuff in like 2015 and 2014. So there's a lot of different styles out there. And I mean, there's the Japanese style is what they call strong style for the most part, which is just this real hard striking, which actually is really influencing the British and American independent scenes now as well. But that's been the dominant style in Japan for a long time. And then you've got kind of the lucha stuff, which is a lot more not just in terms of the physical style. There's a lot more kind of flips and rolls and stuff in lucha, but also just the presentation is different. So it's very it's almost like a pantomime in a way. I don't mean that in a derogatory way at all. It's like it's a carnival, I guess. The masks and they don't even. There's not quite the same attempt at like making it appear to be a real sporting contest that you maybe get in a strong style match. It's more of a there's these melodramatic good guys, the technicos, and the bad guys who are the rudos, and they clash, and it's it's more of a acrobatic display than it is a real sort of hard hitting athletic contest. So it's there's a lot of different styles is what I'm saying, and you do have to adjust your kind of commentary style accordingly. In Britain, by the way, I think we need to be careful, and I think we're doing quite a good job of it, but we need to be careful that we don't lose our own heritage, so that we have a very strong background in that kind of ground game and technical style. A good example of which, by the way, is that Liam Slater and Tyler Bate match on last week's Loaded that I was just talking about a few minutes ago. And that's a really distinctly kind of British thing. So I like guys who can sort of have that kind of strong style match, which is popular nowadays, but also sort of pay homage to their British identity by kind of putting in some of that World of Sport style stuff, and those two did it very well last week. Zack Sabre Jr., as I say, I think is they call him the technical wizard, and that's why he's my favorite wrestler in the world right now, with good reason. And so there's such a range of styles out there. It's really refreshing. There's something for everyone in wrestling right now.
Yeah. So, on WCPW, you've had a bunch of TNA guys come over, ROH guys come over.
Mm-hmm.
What are we looking at for the future, do you think? I mean, what other stars do you think there's going to be more TNA guys coming over to WCPW to compete? Or because that's been one of my favorite things is the cross-promoting between TNA, ROH, and you guys.
I mean, I hope so. I'm not privy to the conversations. Obviously, we have Matt Hardy coming over in end of November, start of December, which will be interesting. I've never met him before, so I've never met him when he was mentally sane. So God knows what it would be like to meet him now. So I'm looking forward to that. I really hope we get Cody Rhodes back, because Cody Rhodes is just you don't see this. You don't see what he's like backstage, obviously, if you're watching the show, but he is just the most wonderful human being. I doing Refuse to Lose and the shows we did this month were the first time I'd met Cody, and he's just such a consummate professional. Shows up in a suit backstage. He's as interested in the ring crew as he is in the top main event guys. He is just genuinely a really engaging, nice person. So I really hope we have him back, and just a student of the business. You hear him talking through his matches with the guys he's going to work with that night, and he is just so brimming with ideas, and you can really start to see when you see him in that environment just how wasted he was in the role he was playing in WWE, and what a courageous decision it was for him to cut those ties. Where let's face it, he probably had a job for life, right? And he chose to leave that to come over and ply his trade and do something that was more sort of creatively fulfilling. So I hope
Grandson of a
back.
plumber, I guess.
Yep. Cody's great. Drew Galloway, we've had. I mean, obviously he's British wrestler originally, but he was, he's been in TNA. He's really great guy as well. So there's so many of them who are just incredible talents, but also add so much to the locker room in terms of bringing up our guys and helping them to learn. So I hope it continues for a long time.
So, I was wondering, have you had any bad experiences backstage with the wrestlers? I mean, have you met any guys who were sort of jerks or anything? Had any problem like that?
Yeah. I mean, I think in any industry you work in, there's always going to be people you get on with and people you don't. But no, I mean, I haven't had any like horror stories.
Okay.
There's some people who are more like. Yeah, there's some people who are more friendly than others, and some people are just kind of polite in a sort of do the minimum they have to and then go and retire into themselves. But no, I mean that's the same with anything. I don't think that's unique to wrestling. But when people are really impressive, I think it's always good to give them a shout out, because they're just there's some real incredible pros in. Not just in TNA and Ring of Honor, but some of our guys who've been like plugging away in Britain for a decade or so and haven't really gotten the recognition they deserved until quite recently. It's so good to see.
When I get on Twitter and look at, Kirby stuff or Ligero stuff or Coffee stuff, these guys are working almost 7 days a week everywhere else and then coming back to WCPW to do a show just to go back out. Ligero, I think, did 2 shows in 1 day the other day.
Oh well, he does that. He does that regularly.
That's insane.
El Ligero is he's booked by the vast majority of major companies on the British independent scene. He also works like the summer camps. Like there's sort of summer holiday camps by the sea. They have a lot of wrestling shows during sort of June, July, and August, and he does all of those. I think I heard him say through a translator, of course, recently that he's already done. I think over 300 matches, and we're this year, and we're not at 300 days of the year so far. So on average, he's doing more than a match a day. That's how hard he works.
Damn, man, that's nuts.
Yeah.
Well,
but it's also a really good sign that there's that much business out there. The fact that he's able to get that much work shows that we have a booming industry out here, and there is that much work if you're a talented enough wrestler. Because if he could be the most talented guy in the world, and if we didn't have the promotions to support him, then he wouldn't be doing that much work. So it just shows you how healthy the British scene is right now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it really is, because I've been doing as much. I tried to do some research on you and tried to do some research on British wrestling, so I didn't sound like such a complete dud. Getting on here with you.
You did okay. You did good. Don't worry.
I appreciate that. But and it is booming right now. I mean, I'm gonna have to start looking at the other ones. I'm fixing to try and see if I can find some stuff to watch. Preston City Wrestling. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're another British promotion.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fixing to try and get into them, and maybe even get a representative of them on the show eventually to talk a little bit about their promotion. But they look interesting. They got a lot of WCPW guys, so I'm not completely out of my depth, and I get to meet some new wrestlers. So. Yeah, I'm looking into that very soon. But, before we go, last question of the day. Because I know you're busy and I've got to get to work myself. WWE, if they ever branched out to you, contract, come commentate for NXT or Raw, would you ever consider it, leaving the indie scene? Or is the indie scene kind of comfortable for you?
I mean, I don't know if it'll ever happen anyway, but...
hypothetical, hypothetical.
Yeah, I mean... I love WWE. I've always loved WWE. I think what they've been doing in particular, I think their product has become even more interesting in the past few years. I think the Cruiserweight Classic this year was incredible. What they're doing with NXT is brilliant. And so I'm a huge fan. I think the vast majority of people who work in wrestling over here got into it because they were WWE fans to start with. So I think all of us would at least consider it if we were ever offered work there. But that said, I'm very happy, like I said, with what I'm doing. I'm in a very good place with the 3 companies I work for right now, so there's no immediate desire to move anywhere.
All right, everybody. This has been the big interview with Dave Bradshaw. Dave, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate the.
Oh, thanks for having me, man. It's been fun. It's been fun.
It's been awesome. If I didn't have to work, man, I would keep talking. I really would, probably the rest of the fucking day. But yeah, Dave Bradshaw, you can hear him on WCPW. If you live out in the UK, you also can try and see him live or hear him on the other promotions that he works for. They just did a loaded on YouTube. Go and check it out. But yes, voice of WCPW. I had the privilege of interviewing today. Thanks again, Dave. You guys can check it all out on YouTube. Have a good one. We're going to get back to the live show that's going on right now. Well, sort of right now. This was Exit 92 Radio's big interview. Take care.
I ain't got time for bitches, but bitches got time for me. I ain't got time to waste my time on people taking shots at me. I ain't got time for haters, but haters got time for me. I ain't got time to waste my time on jealous fools that can be like me. And it's all right now. There's my girl and my blues and guitar. And it's all right now. There's my girl and my blues and guitar. I ain't got time for losers, but losers got time for me. I ain't got time to waste my time on losers talking badly of me. I ain't got time for wasters, wasters got time for me. I ain't got time to waste my time on wasters who say they love me. And it's all right now. There's my girl and my blues and guitar. And it's all right now. There's my girl and my blues and guitar. And it's all right now. There's my girl and my blues and guitar. And it's all right now. There's my girl and my blues and guitar.
Everybody, we are back live right here on Exit 92 Radio with the Big Bad Boo Bear, with Mellow Mike Tenay, and Big J. So
Green olives matter.
Green olives matter. That's right. So, we just finished up the interview with Dave Bradshaw, the pre-recorded interview. Hope you guys enjoyed, whoever's listening out there. And the guys, they had some critique for me about the interview, and Jay he volunteered to go first. So I do want to hear the critique you had for me for my interviewing. We all know Dave did a great job because Dave was fucking wonderful because he's the greatest man alive. But in regards to me, I would like to know.
I sit and I'm listening to the interview. I will say after where you had the disconnect when you came back, the sound quality was much better.
Yeah, I noticed that.
On his end. And as I'm closing my eyes and listening to the interview, I'm picturing Robin Williams fighting with that belt, trying to decide if that was really a good decision or not.
That's terrible, you bastard. I thought I did better than that, you whore. Strangle you with the fucking ring ropes like I'm Benoit. Try me.
Then I started to wonder to myself, while listening to this interview, Did Sean make another bad pick? I wasn't sure if this was the result of a Sean pick or...
No.
Overall, I thought it was a very, very good interview. Of the interviews performed on Exit 92, I have to say it's been the most entertaining thus far. Most captivating. You kept talking with him. He kept talking with you. He didn't freeze up where some of your other guests have frozen up while in the middle of an interview. He kept talking, which I thought was very good. There was a couple of, I asked you, or I gave you a question that I don't recall you answering. If you can ever get a hold of them, find out when I told you to ask him about touring, if they ever come into the States or not, and if he had a schedule for you. That would have been something real good to find out.
I totally fucking spaced about asking that question, but that does remind me, I do have some news about that. And Mike, I'm going to let you get your opinion in and right after I say this. They are coming to Orlando April 1st or April 17th, 2017. They'll do their first touring show into the United States in Orlando this coming April. I am going to do my damnedest to get there, but I don't know how good the seats are going to be. Fucking for VIP seatings, first and second row is $75 a piece. So yeah, they're making the money. So you know what I mean. It's not like I know if I decide to spend that much money, I do know I will be getting a good show because they've already put out who's going to be there. You know, Martin Kirby's going to be there. Joseph Connor's going to be there. Joe Hendry's going to be there. So I know that I'm going to get $75 worth of show. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know if I'm going to spend that much. I might just do $50 for 2 seats for me and Ashley or me and Blake to go or something.
Right.
But, Mike, I wanted to hear your opinion upon the interview as well. Because I love Dave's part. I know Dave's part was good.
All right, so for me, as Jay said, like it was all constant talking. That's what I like, because with some interviews, what happens is like he was talking, people stall, and for me, I don't like that. If you're in an interview and you have to sit there and take a few minutes to think about something, and you can't really respond, like just off the bat with each question, then just pass, move on, go to something else, and then come back to it afterwards.
Well, I do appreciate both of you guys bringing a tear to my eye over here. As fellow members of Four Post Massacre.
And I think that's the best part about it is when I think about it now. If you think about people doing interviews for movies or for musicians that are on tour, they are coming into a radio station and performing an interview because they have to. They are trying to pimp their shit. This guy doesn't have to do jack shit.
No.
He wanted to do the interview, which makes it, he was enthusiastic about it, which I think was really good. Props.
Yeah, a lot of props. Because off air, because I had him off air for a few minutes before the interview started. He was punctual. He got with me at fucking 10 sharp. The guy was great to talk to on and off air. He appreciated the opportunity to get on, and I appreciated the opportunity of having him on. We've had guests in the past that we're going to leave nameless that have been sort of jerk-offs, but this guy was far from it. I once again, was happy to have Dave. Dave, if you're listening, because I know it's like 2 o'clock in the morning your time, if you're listening, the afterplay, the next day or whatever, or if you're just catching the interview, I appreciate it. We all appreciate it here. Thank you again for coming on. Dave Bradshaw, everybody.
That interview in this show is worthy of a retweet when you get off the show tonight.
I
thought it was that good. I did,
I have the interview separate, so what I'll probably do is just put it on there, and just publish it to the site. That way we have it as a separate entity as well. You can just go and listen to by itself without having to listen to the entire show. But who doesn't want to listen to the entire show? Because we're fucking awesome. So, whatever. But anyway, so let's get on back to it because we are at hour 46 already. I mean, that interview took up a big chunk, of course. It was almost an entire 1/3. It was 1/3 of the show. But it wasn't originally supposed to be that long. I mean, we just got talking, and you heard how fluent he was. You know, he was great at it, and I was having fun, and I just lost track of time. And I mean, I will say, go ahead.
Like I said, that's whenever you have guys that are, you know, like, I mean, a horror story I've heard about is Pauly Shore when he goes to do interviews. He's there to do an interview, and if it gets close to time, he says, "Oh yeah," he'll be in the middle of talking about it. And stop, "Oh, well, if I'm out of time, talk to you guys later," and get up and walk out. This guy was like, "No, fuck it, let's hang out, bro. Let's bullshit," which is really
good. It's awesome.
You know
yeah, I appreciate his time. But all right, let's move it on up down to we're gonna go to
the east side.
The east side. Yeah, we're gonna go to the east side. We're gonna go to moving on to the east side with the ROH Ring of Honor news straight out of Canada. With Mellow Mike Tenay. What do you got for us, Mellow Mike?
All right, so what I got for you. So this one was from last night, obviously, because that's when the show is. They had this in Lowell, Massachusetts.
That's how you say it, yeah.
Yeah. So Kevin Kelly and Steve Carino opened the show up ringside. Hyping the main event with the Motor City Machine Guns and Los Ingobernables de Japón. I don't know how to pronounce that.
That's tough when it sounds like.
All right. So they ran a joke with Steve Carino on who botches the pronunciation of LIJ every single time. So they're poking fun at the name. Let's see here. All right. So Dalton Castle and Colt Cabana versus Tempura Boys. That was the first match.
Hey, is Colt Cabana really good? Like, I've heard so much about this Colt Cabana from pipe bombs on WWE to other podcasts.
He's decent.
Yeah.
He's an alright wrestler.
Is he a better talker, I'm guessing?
He can talk good. He's got a decent.
I was just wondering. I didn't mean to interrupt. I always wondered.
Not a problem. It's all good. So apparently there's very little known about Sho Tanaka and Yohei Komatsu, the Tempura Boys. They're NJP, New Japan Dojo trainees.
Okay, cool.
They're working undercard matches, really, basically, in Japan.
Like dark and stuff, dark matches?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like part of their training.
Because that was the main event?
That wasn't the main event. That was the first match.
Oh, okay. Sorry, excuse me.
They're also working in CMLL and with ROH. CMLL is from Mexico, and ROH, of course, in the States.
I think I've heard of CMLL. They used to have a weekly show on one of the off-brand cable channels that I had.
Yeah, they're not they're not aligned or related in any way to Christopher Daniels' alter ego Curryman, though.
Though I remember them specifically because they had people like La Parka and Pentagon Jr. when he was there. I mean, really some really good guys. Pentagon the Senior, they had him there, and Octagon, I believe. I miss Octagon. Octagon's awesome.
Pretty good.
I love Octagon.
I'm more of an El Santo kind of guy, or like Destroyer, but that's like classic. So
I'm not. Don't let me fool you listeners out there. I am not a AAA or CMLL guy who knows everything about it. I know a little bit from the DVD sets that I've got and the few matches I've seen. And I loved El Santo and Octagon as a tag team taking on Eddie Guerrero and Art Barr. That was an interest. That was a lovely match.
Oh, it's a good matchup right there.
Yeah, that was one of.
I like the like for me, if I were to watch like a masked match, I'd want something like the Destroyer, and I'd like who's the other guy that I was thinking of? Fuck it, it'll come to me in like a few minutes here. I'm like so lost here. Like I know who I'm thinking of, but it's like not.
I hate picturing the face and then not being able to get the name
Yeah,
down.
it'll come afterwards, and I'll be like, oh, that's who I was thinking of. We'll move on here.
All right.
And we'll get into more of this. All right, so let's see here. So those are jokes.
Hello. Anybody out? We may have lost them. I'm going to try and get them back. Some more technical difficulties tonight. I'm not getting Jay. Yeah, I can't hear either one of you guys. All right, I'm just gonna throw on a song long enough to fix this. What we've got going on here, and then we both will be back. Give me just 1 second here. Sorry about the break. Was not prepared for that. Here's some Red Hot Rebellion with the Seething Horde. Yes, sir, everybody. We are back live here on Exit 92 Radio with the Big Baby Bear, Mellow Mike, and Big J. Guys, you want to say something real quick? Make sure the mic is working.
Hey, what's up?
Go ahead, Mike.
What?
Yeah, it's working. We're good. It don't matter. It's fine.
Yeah, right on.
But, all right, Mike, before you were so crudely interrupted, Sean must have made a pick somewhere, miles off.
That's what I was just going to say. Sean must have not even made a pick. We just mentioned Sean making a pick.
And there we go.
And Spreaker. I don't understand.
All right, so I remembered the wrestler I was talking about. It just kind of blanked in my head. All right, so Destroyer. That's what's his name? Dick Bauer, if I'm correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
And Mil Mascaras.
Ah, I've heard of him. Yes.
Yeah. He's good. I'd want to see them too. Head off again. They always put a good match when they're together. I mean, you got other masked wrestlers like Black Shadow, Blue Demon, Rayo de Jalisco, Dr. Wagner. There's like a whole bunch of decent ones out there.
But all right, yeah. So we were talking about ROH before we were interrupted.
All right, so Dalton Castle and Colt Cabana versus the Temporary Boys. So the end result here was Dalton Castle and Colt Cabana defeated the Temporary Boys. But obviously that's kind of expected because it's a newer faction, like a newer tag team in the business here
Is it
for ROH.
a squash match?
It was like a squash match, in my opinion. It wasn't too, they weren't too bad, but at the same time, they kind of got squashed in the end, so it just kind of went downhill for them. But it's only the start for their career here in ROH.
Yeah.
Same with CMLL. So basically, what's going to happen is they're going to get their day, and they're like, here. It's like in Japan. All those wrestlers that start off, the same thing happens over there. It's all squash till they make a name for themselves. So they find their calling and say, hey, this is me. This is who I am.
Yeah, so, I mean, I hope they have a long and glorious career. And hopefully in a few years we'll be talking about them, main eventing ROH or, something like that.
Yeah, totally. All right, so after the commercial break, you had the Halloween-themed ROH promo with Mark Briscoe and Dalton Castles.
Yeah.
That was pretty neat. I kind of enjoyed that.
I'm a
Kevin
Briscoe
Kelly
fan. I'm a big Briscoe fan. So.
Oh, he's always good. Kevin Kelly got on stage to interview the Briscoes. Footage shown of what took place during the break. Dalton Castle and Colt Cabana had a stare down and traded words with the Briscoes on the rampway. Kelly asked Briscoe about the tension between both teams. Jay and Mark talk about how they have no fear of any tag team in ROH, how in recent months they have defeated Castle and Cabana, as well as the Young Bucks. Mark states they challenge the winner of that upcoming match. Mark guarantees that they will beat the winner of that match at Final Battle December 2nd and become 9-time ROH World Tag Team Champs.
9-time, damn.
Yeah.
Is there an ROH Hall of Fame? Because I'm pretty sure those guys are going to make it in.
There should be. I'll have to look into that for you.
For sure.
Yeah. Lengthy ROH promo hyping the upcoming event in London next month. Featured in promo is Adam Cole, Jay Lethal, and Kyle O'Reilly. They all talk about the World Championship picture and where they stand. Alright, so we'll skip all that. Next match, Kyle O'Reilly and Jonathan Gresham.
How was that? Was it pretty good?
It was an alright match. I liked the tag team a little more, but it was still a good match. Commentators put over Jonathan Gresham's great old school mat wrestling style, calling him the master of the mat. They put over a recent match he had with Delirious. And plugged the video on demand. Feature ROHWrestling.com. Let's see what else there is here. I kind of want to keep this short, but there's like a whole couple paragraphs here for every single match, and it's kind of hard to it's kind of hard to shrink everything down into like one small sentence when it's all like just a commentator kind of going at it. Yeah. All right, so Kyle O'Reilly defeats Jonathan Gresham by pinfall. As he's being announced as the winner, Hangman Page runs into the ring and attacks O'Reilly. He stomps on O'Reilly's injured shoulder. Page goes to hit the rite of passage on Kyle when Bobby Fish runs into the ring and makes the save. As Fish and Page are exchanging punches, out comes Adam Cole. He nails Fish from behind. Page goes to work on Kyle on the outside of the ring and sends him crashing into the barricade. Back in the ring, Adam Cole is admitting his handiwork when Fish rises and goes after him. Page comes to Cole's aid and hits Bobby Fish with a steel chair. Cole holds up Fish to be hit again with the chair. Fish spits in Page's face and retaliates with repeated chair shots to Fish's ribs. Security runs out to pull Page and Cole away from Bobby Fish. Alright.
And that was
That was after the match.
Yeah.
So basically, it was just like a big mashup, just like a whole. It's like when you see the older wrestling, like from the '90s, from like WWF, when you go backstage and somebody's going and beating up on somebody else.
Oh, that great run-in stuff, the backstage assaults and shit like that.
Yep, that's basically what happened in the ring. All right,
nice. That's nice.
Next up, we have Punishment Martinez and BJ Whitmer versus Cheeseburger and Will Ferrara.
Versus Cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger and Will Ferrara.
That is a great name.
Definitely.
I'm guessing he's obviously a meat eater, probably not a vegetarian.
Could be a vegan burger.
Could be a vegan cheeseburger, I guess. Maybe non-pasture. I don't really know where I'm going with this. That was the worst joke of the night, gentlemen. I promise it won't get any worse.
Sullivan on commentary tries to sell Carino on joining his group. How Kevin sees Steve as his true favorite son. The Carino's place is by Sullivan's side and accepting his true calling of evil. Whole story is that Steve's human name, but his actual spirit form is evil. That Steve is denying that side of himself and living a lie. Kevin Sullivan is Steve's spiritual father. In that realm, Sullivan makes mention of a recent gift that Carino has received from their group. Not much to the match. When Martinez is in the ring, he dominates the action. When Whitmer gets in, Cheeseburger and Ferrara are able to mount some offense. They actually do some tandem moves on Whitmer, hit a tornado, DDT on him. Punishment gets in the ring and aids Whitmer. Punishment hits the springboard punch on Cheeseburger and knocks him out. A move that makes Roman Reigns' Superman punch look like the greatest move in wrestling history. Whitmer covers him for the win.
Oh my god. That was great. That was a great analogy. I like that.
Yeah. Alright, so main event. Motor City Machine Guns versus Tetsuya Naito and King of Darkness.
That sounds good. I've heard of Tetsuya Naito. He's a pretty damn good wrestler.
Oh,
I want to say I've heard of the Motor City Machine Guns. Are they from somewhere else?
TNA.
Yep.
Are they from TNA? They're a very familiar name.
They were in TNA, and now they're in Ring of Honor. They're actually making something of themselves.
Huh.
One might.
Hey, they're moving on up.
Yep.
They definitely were.
Yep. Alright, so LIDJ defeats the Motor City Machine Guns.
Nice. So the Motor City Machine Guns got
Or LIJ. Yeah, they got beaten by LIJ.
That guy, he's I've heard of him, both the Motor City Machine Guns and the other one. I haven't heard too much on the King of Darkness, I think he said his name was, or something.
King of Darkness, evil.
Yeah. The other guy I've heard a little bit about. I haven't heard too much about him. Yeah, all good wrestlers. ROH always put that.
It was a great. I'll have to hook you up the match. It was pretty decent.
What would you give?
For main event? Motor City Machine Guns always put on a good show.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. Okay, so King of Darkness is Takaki Watanabe. His name is Evil. So, stylized in capital letters. Professional wrestler trained by. I'm looking at his wiki page here. So he's from NJPW since 2011, and he's competed in the United States for companies including ROH. King Pro Wrestling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what would you give this episode of ROH Weekly Show out of 1 out of 10?
1 out of 10, I'll give it an 8.
Okay.
I would give it more, but the last week's ROH for me was a little better. But at the same time, I'm liking this that they're bringing in all these new stars because it gives them a chance to add a little more flavor and body to the show. So what's happening, like in my opinion, for me, with ROH is since they're bringing in all these new guys, it gives them a chance to like spice up the roster a little and like switch people up. Like, okay, these guys have been going at it for a while, so now we'll switch them up and we'll put in these new guys that we just brought in and try and build them up a little. That way everything stays fresh on a constant basis.
Well, that's that's pretty good rating. Check out the latest ROH, the ROH on demand at their website if you want to check it out, or you can watch it on TV wherever you get it from. Definitely check them out. I'm planning on trying to find some ROH as well. I'm gonna try and start watching them, but if I can, I might buy the ROH. I might go break down and get it monthly. I think it's like $7.99 a month. Something like that's a little cheaper than the network.
Not too bad. All right, so I'll post that in there. That's his page, and Animal Hamaguchi. That's the guy that he trained with. I'll post his wiki.
Okay,
he was basically a small guy. He wasn't that big in size. He's about 5 feet 10 inches.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Remember, check that info out there. You can learn some more about these wrestlers if you've never seen them out there. Check them out. So, giving it an 8 out of 10 on ROH, I gave WCPW, I think, a 6.5 to 7. Their loaded show. I believe a 7 out of 10. Now, Jay, all week you've been talking to me about this latest TNA show.
And I was going to say also, any listeners that don't know, as we're bringing you this, I am actually at work driving down the road. So, in an event to make sure I don't miss anything, I was going to ask if Mike could pull up results from the last TNA. That way, if I do miss something, he can remind us what it was, and I can tell you what happened.
Okay, so Mike's going to do that right now, then.
Of course, for whatever reason, Nick and Mike have decided that I would be the watcher of TNA. So I have to go home when I get off work and pull up on demand and grab 3 cans of Red Bull, a bottle of pumpkin spice eggnog, and a bottle of Jaeger to try and stomach through sitting through another TNA episode. I wish I could come to you and say that is different this week. And fortunately enough, I can. This last episode, I was captivated. And again, after driving for 10 hours, come home, I normally fast forward through bits and pieces, just try to catch the main stuff. I not only watched it all the way through, earlier today I was sending Nick video of certain items because I went back and watched it again. It was that good. It started off with Eddie Edwards, who beat Lashley last week for the championship, coming out, talking about how he's going to keep the belt. And a couple of minutes later, Cody Rhodes comes out, says he's going to take the belt. They have a match tonight. And after they go on for a couple of minutes, Lashley comes out and lets them both know it doesn't matter which one of y'all wins the belt, I'm going to beat your ass and take the belt because he has to fight Moose that night. And he's saying he's going to beat Moose and would face whoever wins the belt. After which, they leave. Moose and Lashley go at it. This had to be a 15, 20-minute match scene. I think I recall not one, but 2 commercial breaks during the match. So it went on for a hot minute. And it really, as much of the night was, boiled down to, they were beating the hell out of each other and spearing each other. There was one minor slip-up from Moose. Lashley retains the belt. And when I say, or Lashley wins to go on to fight for the belt that night, when I say they were beating the hell out of each other, after Lashley pins Moose, Lashley didn't get up. He crawled out of the ring, rolled onto the floor, and crawled up the ramp. They were tired. They had been out there. Epic match. It was of epic proportions from anything I've seen on TNA for some time. Some of the video, again, like I was saying, I sent to Nick, which Nick, I don't know if you watched it and remember the name. Do you remember what the name of the group is?
No, I can't remember the name of the group. I remember the name of the group they beat up. They beat up the Tribunal.
Yeah, the Tribunal had just lost a match to the Hardys, Matt, Brother Nero. They just lost a match, but they had, throughout the night, set up little video interruptions of the broadcast, where like they would be in the middle of doing it. Like the first clip I sent you was them doing an interview with the Tribunal, and then all of a sudden the TV screen goes staticky, and you go to a black screen, and it just shows these three guys in a white mask, and they came out, and it was brutal. I mean, Nick saw the video I sent him.
Yeah.
They really stepped up their game on TNA with what they're doing. They had another gentleman. I do not know his name, but he's doing something during the show of TNA where he does like a 5 or 10 minute little sideshow where he's got a little table and he's got this button that he presses that yells out "loser" whenever he presses it because he's trying to make a point. And he was talking to whoever just won the Grand Championship of TNA. A little bit about the Grand Championship. I know we were talking about that last week, and we're trying to figure out why they had separated and have a different belt called the Grand Champion as well as the Heavyweight Champion. The Grand Champion, the way it's set up is it's like with Nick. Let's say me and you decided to get to the ring, right?
Yeah.
It is a best of 3 right now. So I would fight you. And what it is, the best of 3 right now, it's based on 2-minute spurts of wrestling. So we would wrestle for 2 minutes. Whoever the judges decide win that match wins that first round.
Oh,
Second,
man.
Same way. Judges decide who wins unless one of us pins each other or one of us taps out. That's how the Grand Champion is decided by a three matches.
I like that. That's a really good stipulation.
It was, pretty interesting. It got pretty interesting. But while talking, he was talking to him. The host said, I think the other guy asked the host, what did he think about, what was EC3's chances of becoming the champion now? And the guy said EC3's chances are none, and hits the loser button, and it goes loser. And he's like, EC3 is a waste of talent, loser. Keeps seeing all this stuff and hit loser. Well, of course, EC3 comes out. Goes to go over to where they are, and they have about 7 or 8 security officers stop EC3 on the ramp. It's over to the side of the ramp. So they stop him, say, just don't do anything. So he decides to walk out to the ring and talk to the guy and says, you're calling me a loser and all this. Like, press the button. Classic Hancock. It's like, press the button one more time. I dare you. Press that fucking button one more time, and I'm going to come over there and whip your ass. So the guy presses the button again and calls him a loser. So he starts walking back up the ramp. Again, they're at the side stage to the ramp on the ground, and the guards they all get up again, and security guards are standing there with their hands up like, don't do anything. He gets about 10 feet from them, takes off his shirt, and run and dives on top of all the security guards rolls off of them and starts to kick the shit out of this guy. To which they had to bring someone out to separate them. That match, or that's not a match, but that they go to commercial after that. When they come back, if I remember correctly, was the Hardys, and I'm not sure what they're actually being called now, facing that one group that Dick mentioned. Who's that again?
Tribunal. The Tribunal.
Tribunal. Tribunal. I don't know where they come from. They are talking, they're doing interviews, and they are sounding like the old Russian dudes from WWF.
The Bolsheviks?
Yeah, they're sounding like that. And what they're saying, how they're acting. And they're brutal. I mean, they're hardcore. They kicked the shit out of the Hardys for a hot minute. Again, it's one of those things where they made one minor mistake, and the Hardys you can't make a mistake with. You know, they've been around long enough that they went off the mistake and won. After they won, again, the power glitches and all the lights in the stadium go out.
Yeah.
When it comes back on, the three guys are standing in the ring over the Tribunal, look at each other, and just go to kicking the shit out of the Tribunal. And goes to commercial break.
Yep, that was some brutal shit.
Yeah, a lot of the other matches I don't remember, but the final one, of course you probably know where this is going. Cody Rhodes versus Eddie Edwards for the championship, the World Heavyweight Championship. That match comes up, they go to fight, and it is again, much like the Lashley match earlier in the evening, brutal. I mean, Eddie Edwards really stepped up his game, and much like your interview earlier this evening, which you can catch here on Exit 92 Radio on the backlog, as well as when Nick puts it up by himself. Cody Rhodes is bringing it. You know what I'm saying? He is sharing all his knowledge in the ring, and they carry each other. Again, everybody off the top of your head, you're going to say Cody Rhodes takes the belt. He doesn't. He lost the match. And it was one of those things where Cody Rhodes felt, they were in the middle of something and he fell backwards, and Eddie Edwards fell over him, and they're both laying on their backs, and before Cody can retract his legs, because one of his legs was up in the air, Eddie Edwards grabbed that fucking leg and pinned it back as hard as he could for the 1, 2, 3. Again, must have went 10, 15 minutes.
Wow.
So he retained the belt. I mean, tomorrow night, I'm not sure if it's tomorrow night or if they got a pay-per-view coming up, we're going to have the fallout where Lashley is going to face Eddie Edwards for the championship, and it's going to be interesting to see what that happens with that, as well as I want to see what's going to happen with these three guys. They're really built that up. These three guys in the back really
it's gonna be interesting.
Good.
I'm definitely. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to see it live. I have to wait till they upload it to YouTube if they do it tomorrow night and not the next morning or whatever. But
right.
I am definitely going to try and catch the episode of it just to see how everything is going and just check it out. The last time I watched a full episode of TNA was October of last year. I remember because they did one of their pay-per-views for free because they couldn't afford to do a pay-per-view. And they had MVP there and Bobby Lashley, and it was shit. I remember calling you, after the first match and said, "I'm done. I quit." You know what I mean? That was the last time I even touched a TNA broadcast because it was terrible. I did eventually go back. I think I watched the main event. I can't remember even who it was. It was before Matt Hardy was doing the delete bullshit. But I think it was Jeff Hardy and somebody, actually, now I think about it. I can't remember who it was. It was a good match, I think. That was about it. The rest of the show was absolutely terrible. But,
that's what I can remember from the evening. Mike, were you able to pull up anything on results-wise?
And we'll try and go through it.
Anything I missed?
We'll try and go through it real quick. So we got 38 minutes left, and we got a few things we got to touch on in WWE before we call it a night.
Sounds good. All right. So, as he said, let me scroll up here. I wish this was faster. Okay. All right, so as he said, the number one contender match, Lashley with the win.
Mm-hmm.
What else happened here? I'm trying to pull it up. It's
Mm-hmm.
all slow scrolling for some reason. World Tag Team Championships, Broken Hardys versus Tribunal, like you guys talked about. Broken Hardys won. What else here? Mahabali Shera versus The Miracle. Mike Bennett with Maria. Mike Bennett won that match.
Mike Bennett, that guy.
Yeah. And then the World Heavyweight Championship match. You guys talked about that. Eddie Edwards and Cody with Brandy.
Yeah. All right, that was your TNA news for the week. We're fixing to move on to the WWE talk. Usually we would take a song break, but I just don't. We just ain't got the time this week, so we're just gonna go. We're gonna smooth right into.
Before you go into that, just like everybody else, I implore anybody to listen. I would give it 9 out of 10 stars.
That's
if
right.
you can check out TNA, check it out.
I totally
mean,
forgot to ask for your rating. I apologize. That's my bad.
No problem. I just want to make sure the fans know. I mean, when I talked to Nick about it originally, again, I'm old school, and when I say old school, I'm WCW. You know, this was, 1% under WCW. It's what it reminded me of as I'm watching it. And again, for me to sit through a whole show, I don't do it. And I did. I mean, I was that captivated from start to finish. There was no, where I would normally be falling asleep, ready to go to bed, that actually kept me and I watched.
And realize, youngsters out there, when he's talking about WCW, when we talk about WCW, we compare stuff out there to being the pinnacle, to WCW. We're not just talking about 1996 and the NWO. We're talking about Flair and Steamboat in the 80s. We're talking about Harley Race and Flair at Starrcade 84. Flair for the gold, or 83. We're talking about that stuff as well. When he's talking about old school, he's not just talking about 96 NWO. So keep that in mind. And those matches I mentioned are classics. God, love great fucking matches, man. Flair was a bleeder back then. He was a bleeder.
Yes, sir. They had I don't know if you saw the one match with the Hardys. They busted Matt's mouth open.
Well, TNA's, I don't think they really care about blading very much, which is good and bad at the same time. I get WWE's stance on blading and, trying to keep the blood out of it, but, you know what I mean?
Right.
But we're going to move on here to some WWE. Now, we're going to quickly talk about the one big thing on Raw and one big thing on SmackDown. We don't have time to do both results. One big thing on Raw, Brock's rebuttal to Goldberg being an absolute terrible... Oh, God. It was... From what I gather, I didn't get to see it because I was at work, and I can't find it on YouTube either, just like Jay. But from what I gather, it's absolutely just terrible.
If anybody can find it, please share it to the Exit 92 Facebook page.
Yeah, remember to like us while you're there.
Yeah. We have been searching high and low. Unfortunately, both Nick and I worked Monday night, so we weren't able to view it, but the aftermath with everyone talking about it, me and Nick were joking about it a little earlier that it was kind of like the one dude from not Family Guy, but King of the Hill. What's that guy's name? The guy that can't talk? Boom, yeah, it was like Boom Out. We're doing a wrestling promo. And I would love to see that shit.
Yes, sir. That would be kind of hilarious. It would be kind of hilarious. But yeah, that was absolutely dreadful from what I gather. Mike, before we move on to SmackDown's one big thing, did you see that?
I did not get a chance to catch that one big thing on SmackDown. Although I did hear about the Raw and the Goldberg and the Rock and all that.
Well, the one big thing on SmackDown, I mean, I didn't get to see all SmackDown. I've only seen some clips, but I thought this was a very impressive part. Didn't see it coming. At one point during, they get Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt have got this great feud going on. Kane is involved as well. And, at one point, Kane and Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt are in the ring. I don't know if it was after a match or if it's just an altercation. Bray is getting up off the mat where Randy and Kane are both waiting. They're ready to go. They're about to, either one of them is going to use their special maneuver on Bray Wyatt, and they both look at each other and look back at Bray, and then all of a sudden, Randy backs up and RKO's the fuck out of Kane. Out of nowhere. Mostly out of nowhere,
Wow.
And it swerved me. I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, wow, that's interesting. So I thought I'd mention it tonight on the show because that definitely deserves a look. I wonder where they're going to go. Are they going to have Randy Orton join the family? Would that be interesting? Randy Orton a part of...
Legend Killer meets the family.
Oh, man, that would be interesting, I think. We'll have to see where this goes. SmackDown Live, they're doing some really good stuff, So,
Yeah, no doubt.
But
Again, like everybody heard, I guess, the Goldberg match is a go for Survivor Series. Now, is Survivor Series this Sunday, or is that not till November?
Survivor Series is November. This Sunday is the card we're about to talk about in just a minute. Okay. I have the full card pulled up. I know we talked about it, I think, on our first episode, but I want to rehash it because it's a complete full card, and we're just going to go from because it's 4 days away, people. 4 days away until Hell in a Cell, which Monday night, if I don't have to open the next morning and I've got some time, I might jump on here by myself for just about 15 to 20 minutes just to quickly go over the card on who won, who lost, talk about it for a minute, and we'll do a full review of Hell in a Cell Wednesday night with me and Big J and everything. Just to give you, just let the Exit 92 listeners who listen, as much as they can, let them know what I thought about it before we get into Wednesday night and such. So, but anyways, and also one other thing before we go, Mike, you called it last week. Right after the show was over with, TNA announced they were filing for bankruptcy.
Oh, snap.
Yeah,
told you.
Fight TV swooped in to save their ass and gave them more money.
Yeah, because they're affiliated.
Yeah, they gave them
does
more
that
money.
mean they haven't filed then? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. It's all a bunch of hodgepodge. I mean, because we'll get into the Hell in a Cell card in just a second, but Billy Corgan has been in a lawsuit with Dixie and Panda Energy for a minute about liability issues, and that he's still working for the company. And now, from what I gather from another wrestling news, damn it, I can't remember the name of the wrestling news page I follow on Twitter. I give them some props because they're a bigger news company. They probably don't even care, but from what I gather, people are starting to miss checks at TNA, where some people got paid last week, others did not. So, that's a problem. And these guys they're threatening to leave, and some are threatening and are reaching out to, other companies, WWE, WCPW. There has been no list of people who are reaching out. I don't have that, unfortunately. But, they are reaching out. So, they're going to start losing talent if they don't start paying them. And this is becoming a problem. So, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen to TNA in the following months. I know they have gigs booked all the way up into January. I would say that they need to figure out, they need to take their priorities and put them first, or they're going to start losing talent. If they do every show like this from now on, like Jay is talking, they can come out of this okay. They can get back on their feet and be that TNA that we all thought for a minute, for one single moment.
I think they could get out, but it's going to take people like us spreading the word. Because if I wasn't telling you about this recent stuff with TNA, you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't be
really
interested
going to take a word of the mouth.
Yeah. So try and check out TNA. Maybe if we keep giving them some attention, they will start realizing they're doing correctly and finally get their shit together. But that's what we got on TNA right now. Bankruptcy issues, no people getting some people not getting paid. TNA is falling apart at the seams, and this could be their very last moments to stand back up and do something with the company that Jeff Jarrett started. But on to the Hell in a Cell preview for you guys. Let's see how much time we got left. We might have to do we got 28 minutes. Let's see if we can get through this in 28 minutes. Cedric Alec, this is the first match on the card from what I gather. I think this is in order. Don't shoot me if it's not. The kickoff match, Cedric Alexander, Lince Dorado, and Sin Cara. Damn it, I feel like Sin Cara right now. There we go. Versus Tony
Can I
Nese.
ask you a question real quick?
Go for it.
Is Hell in a Cell like other WWE events where there's going to be a pre-show and there's going to be daytime matches, or is it just a start at 8 o'clock and it's going to go on?
I think that like the first 2 matches on the card are kickoff matches, and then the rest of it is like the rest of the show.
Okay.
And that's the one we were on now is the first kickoff match, which was, like I was saying, Cedric Alexander, Lince Dorado, Sin Cara versus Tony Nese, Drew Gulak, and Ariana Daviari. I don't the fuck ever. It's a kickoff match, 3-on-3. Do we really care, guys? Do we really care? Because we can just start this shit. No, nobody fucking cares. All right, now
I'm still in line getting beer.
Yeah, exactly. So who cares? All right, Bayley versus Dana Brooke. I guess you would be like halfway to your seat by then. It would probably be an interesting matchup though because Bayley is good. Dana Brooke is good. It's not a Hell in a Cell. That's the main event. Who do you think's going to pull off a victory there? I say Bayley because I'm a hugger. So I'm a hugger.
I say Bayley.
Okay, we got 2 huggers.
Yeah.
I'll go with Bayley as well.
2. We got all 3 huggers here. All right. So Bayley takes it with a clean sweep. We'll find out on Sunday. Next up, Enzo.
You should write this down too, Nick. You should write these down so we can compare next week on
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I might do that. Let me pull up a new document, and I'll just have that. So nobody cared on the kickoff.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna put down is nobody cared on the kickoff.
The strippers win in the kickoff.
Yeah, for real. Fucking kickoff match. But yeah, nobody cared on the kickoff, so whatever. Next up is Bayley versus Dana Brooke. We all said Dana Brooke.
Bayley.
Sorry.
No, Bayley.
Yeah, Bayley. All right. Next up was the Enzo Amore and Big Cass taking on Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, the remnants of what was at one time called the Bullet Club. This is another one of those who really fucking cares kind of matches because, I love Enzo Amore and Big Cass, but they destroyed Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson just like I said they would a year ago. Who do you guys think is going to take that one? We already have No One Cared on here once, so we need to put it twice.
If I was going to pick, honestly, I guess you're saying they already lost once. I've heard Gallows before, so I would pick Gallows probably.
Okay. So he's going to go with Gallows. We got one Gallows. I'm going to say Enzo. Gallows and Anderson. Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me type this. Anderson. Alright. Jay is going with, you say Gallows and Anderson too?
Yeah, that's what I said. Mike.
Okay. Mike, you go ahead, boss.
Alright, so, I'll go with Anderson and Gallows as well. They have a good chance in getting this, hands down.
Okay, so Mike and Jay say Gallows and Anderson. I say Enzo and Cass because I'm pretty sure with Vince's hard on for Cass, he's not going to have him lose to what they are turning into, like the Neutral Bullet Club. So, yeah, pretty much. Next up, the Raw Tag Team Champions, The New Day, defend their championship against Cesaro. Sheamus, I half think that they're going to give it to Cesaro and Sheamus because Cesaro and Sheamus are on the rise and they hate each other. They're going to keep this going, and the best way to keep it going would be to give them the strap so they have to work together. It's like Austin Dude Love or, something like that. So I say Cesaro and Sheamus.
For me, I'd have to. I want to go with New Day, but at the same time, what I'm looking at is Cesaro and them. What's happening is they're not getting along that well with each other. So if in some way or other they pull through with a win, it'll give them a chance to finally mend themselves together and become one. So I guess for me, I'll go with Cesaro.
Okay, Mike's the same.
New Day Rock.
Oh my god.
New Day Rock. Better for business, bro.
How is it better for business?
If the New Day win, you have a group that already doesn't. You're already saying they're fighting, right? They don't like each other. If the New Day beats them, you're going to have them now questioning the other's ability, which makes for good wrestling each time they wrestle. I think. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just want. Since you put out your little view right there, I'd like to make a change.
Oh, you
and
fucking
switch over to New Day.
You
because,
fucking bitch.
No, hold up. Here's where I'm going with this. What's going to happen is, if New Day wins, and they end up hating each other even more, and not getting along even more, that could start a feud. So they could bank off of that, and they could have them two go at it head to head with a big feud. So it'd be like seeing Stone Cold and Vince, or something along those lines. You'd have this big long feud going.
Well, I can't say that's not a bad idea, but I'm still gonna have to stick with Cesaro and Sheamus because I am not an Indian jumper. Damn it, whatever they call it. All right, so next up is Romy versus Rusev for the United States title in a Hell in a Cell match. Oh wait, no. Excuse me. Sorry, it's not the next match. Although the next match, none of us are really going to know anything about. It's the Cruiserweight title on the line for T.J. Perkins versus Brian Kendrick. Even when we talked about this the first time, I can remember saying that I just don't know enough about T.J. Perkins to even put an opinion in there, so I don't think I even did. So I wasn't even planning on putting anything in on that.
I'm going to go with Kendrick. Although okay. Perkins does look like he's got a leg up there.
So we're gonna have probably Mike is gonna be the only vote here. Jay, do you say Kendrick as well, or?
I say WFC.
WFC.
Yeah, who fucking cares?
Who fucking cares?
Either any of those guys are.
All right, so we're gonna move on. Mike goes for Kendrick in the Cruiserweight Championship match. We will see Sunday. The U.S. Championship is on the line as Roman Reigns takes on the Russian Reginald really rockin' Rusev in a Hell in a Cell match. I am going to go with who I really want to win, but know that it's going to lose, Rusev.
I think, God, they could make that into such a good match.
They won't. They'll ruin it.
Are you saying it is going to be a Hell in a Cell, or is it not a Hell in a Cell?
It's a Hell in a Cell match. It's going to be inside the cell for sure.
Man, if they made that into a blood match, that could be good. Man, I think they're going to keep it. I think Reigns is going to win.
So Jay's sticking with Reigns.
Although I would like to see Rusev win, I would want to see Rusev win in a brutal kind of way, and I know they're not going to fucking do that. You know what I'm saying? WWE's not going to step it up. They're not going to make Roman Reigns bleed. So, yeah, I have to say that they're going to keep it on the fucking Nature Boy.
All right, so M and J say Romy. Well, I go with Rusev. Next up, we've got the WWE Universal Championship, KO versus Seth Rollins in a Hell in a Cell match as well. The last 3 matches are Hell in a Cell. I am gonna have to say they're gonna keep it on KO. Reason being is because I think they're really gonna try and work on that Jericho Kevin Owens thing, and I think it's just too early.
Hey! Before you make your match, before you make your decision, it was announced this week that next week will be Chris Jericho's final appearance in WWE for the remainder of the year. He has to go on tour with his band. So he's not going to be fucking around with KO. That's what was released, I think, earlier today, I saw it.
That makes it a little...
That could change your mind real quick, you know what I'm saying? Just so you know.
I still think they're going to keep it on KO because it's too early to take it off of him. They should. It's better for business to keep it on KO and have Seth Rollins in the hunt for the title. So I think that it would be best. Hold on, guys. You guys keep on going. Talk about this, and I'll be right back.
All right.
Again, best for business. I have to. I gotta agree with Nick on that one. I mean, although I think Rollins would look better with the belt, but
he would.
don't think they're going to give it to him just yet.
No.
I think they're going to make him wait.
They'll probably make him wait, hands down. That's
the
way I see it. I mean, he has the chance, and he could do something good with it, but they might not do it. It might not be the best right now.
So, who did you say, Mike? You gonna keep it on KO?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were both. Again, we don't think that. Like you're saying, it's not time for Seth to have the belt. No matter how bad any of us want to see the belt on him.
Yeah.
The fact that we do want to see the belt on him means WWE is going to do the exact opposite of what we want.
So clean
KO's.
Clean sweep on KO.
Yeah.
Unless
again, now you go with the extra credit. You go with extra credit for this match. If, in fact, what they said earlier today is true, and Jericho will be leaving after Raw next week to go and play because he has a concert tour with Fozzy.
Mm-hmm.
Does KO win because of Jericho's interference, and is Jericho therefore banned on Monday Night Raw? That's how they write him out of the script.
They could. They very well could do that. That'd be
interesting to see. You can't just have Jericho disappear. You know what I'm saying? You've got to write him out somehow. They've invested too much in it.
So, we're on the final match, the main event. The match has been advertised as is a historical moment in WWE history as we come upon the very first Women's Championship main event, Hell in a Cell. I mean, I think it's the first Women's Championship main event in WWE history, not NXT. But as well as that, we're breaking boundaries as we're putting these two women in a Hell in a Cell match. It's the very first time. Now, I have expressed my worry about this matchup. I am still a little excited to see it because I've never seen one of these before as far as Sasha Banks and Charlotte Flair go. But regardless of my worry, I still think it could be a good match, maybe a Matt Classic. I don't see it being the Hell in a Cell, Mankind, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, Triple H type match we've seen before. But I do see it being a good match regardless, and I think that it's going to be Sasha. I think they're going to keep it on Sasha. I don't think they're going to give it to Flair just yet. If they do, it'll be because of outside interference. Charlotte, that's the only way Charlotte can take it.
My question is, I know we were talking about this last week, and it is a Hell in a Cell match. Now, does that mean that it's just in the cell, or are they going to make it a DSP match?
A what?
DSP.
What's that?
dildos, strap-ons, and ball gags.
Oh,
are they
my
going to make it? Are they going to throw some stuff in the ring to make it interesting, or is it just going to be?
This guy. Come on, man. It's the first women's Hell in a Cell. I get what you're saying. I get your drift here, but I think it will be a good match. I just don't think it's going to be.
Well, in all seriousness, though, I'm not familiar that much with Hell in a Cell. Does that mean can they use foreign objects in a Hell in a Cell match?
Yeah.
Or do they get disqualified?
No. There's
I don't know.
rules. It's basically, real quick, I'll go over the rules with you. Basically, the ring is surrounded by a cell that is big enough to cover the entire ring and the outside exterior of it. The object is to pin your opponent inside the ring, or sometimes outside if it's falls count anywhere. And just the cell brings in a new psychology of it because there is no running away from this opponent. You can't just leave the ring and go upstage or something like that. You have to fight them inside the cell. If you can get out of the cell,
Yeah, I figured that. I just didn't know if someone walked by and fucking tossed a tire iron into the cell, could they use the tire iron to beat the shit out of the other? Or would they can just... That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, they can use that. There's no disqualification. So, I mean, it could go, somebody could throw a fucking chair, in through the door before they lock it. If that chair is where they can get to it, they're going to use it.
Okay. I hope, you said it's Sasha, right?
Sasha and Flair.
I want to see Sasha win. Just because I don't like Flair. I thought she rode on Daddy's coattails when she first started. Although her finishing, the figure four, is a little more inventive than Flair's figure four, and it's kind of cool looking. I think she's too clumpy in the fucking ring. She's awkward.
Well, we'll find out. Mike, what do you think about it? As me and Jay have both picked Sasha, are you going to make it a clean sweep and 3 matches out of the night? Are you going to be the guy? Yep, we're going for another clean sweep.
I will make it a clean sweep.
3 matches out of Hell in a Cell. We all
Thanks
agree
all the way.
on. Yeah, Mike, Jay, and myself all agree Sasha's going to keep the strap over Flair. So we will have to find out, ladies and gentlemen, this coming Sunday. Hell in a Cell. Be there or be square.
Mm-hmm.
That's just how it is, I mean.
All right. So one thing here, the NXT takeover that happened on the 8th of October was the first time that they've ever had women headline a major WWE event.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was a little off, my bad.
It's all good.
I don't like being inaccurate,
second.
so I do appreciate that. Mr. Mike Tenay, everybody. Give him a round of a fucking applause. This guy, he is. That's why we call him Mellow Mike Tenay, because he's the fucking bomb. Well, we need to get Mike Tenay on here to hang out, and just talk to you for a little bit. That would be fucking awesome. I think I'm going to try and message him.
Hell yeah.
We're going to try and get Mike Tenay, guys. That's what we're going to do. That's the next interview. No, that's not the next interview.
In the flesh, no way.
That'd be fucking awesome, wouldn't it? No, the next interview, like I said, before we go, Matthew Gregg of the Gotchamania series on YouTube. Hopefully, as long as everything goes to plan tomorrow, I will interview him early in the morning and have it ready by next Wednesday to debut on Exit 92 Radio, or before Exit 92 Radio, or whichever. And remember, following this directly, I will have the interview with Dave Bradshaw published, so you can just, if you missed that, if you tuned in late, you can go and just listen to the interview, so you didn't miss that at least. But you can also replay the show. We're here. The show will be here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like us, subscribe on Twitter at Exit 92 Radio. No spaces, nothing like that. Just at Exit 92 Radio. Subscribe on Facebook, Exit 92 Radio on Facebook. Check us out. Leave us likes, man. We're just trying to get this thing going. We're starting to get a little bit of steam. The past 2 shows.
Don't just check out the wrestling. If you want good programming, you have Metal Mike, which is who we're calling Mellow Mike today.
Yeah.
On Mondays, bringing you some of the best music you're going to hear nowadays. On occasion, you'll hear Nick or the Boo Bear here. We'll be doing blues shows.
We're going to try to do one soon.
Yeah, as well as, Exit 92 is a station with lots of different programming. And when you sign up, and check it out, you'll see there's all kinds of different programs on there. Check them all out. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, for sure.
If you like it, follow it.
Just lately, we've been starting to get a lot of hits on the wrestling shows, and a lot of stuff's going on in the wrestling world, and all three of us are wrestling fans, so it was just, we'd already been doing WWE talk, but due to, stuff going on in our own lives, it's hard to keep a hold of the shows. It does happen in this week's. And
don't take don't take my word or Nick's word or Mike's word for it. Hey, when you check out the station and you see that it's been on the air for under a year and has damn near 15,000 hits, that speaks for itself.
People have been stopping in. People have been listening. And hopefully, next year we'll have 30,000 hits. I'd be happy with 30,000 hits by this time next year. You know what I mean? So we're going to hit that goal hopefully by October 26th of 2016. You guys keep it locked in on Exit 92. If you stay around for a few minutes, like I said, the interview will be back up, published to the Exit 92 page. Thank you for tuning in tonight. For Mike B and Big J, I'm the Big Bad Boo Bear, and thank you for tuning in. Have a good night.
See ya.
Peace.